Hello, fellow homebrewers. JP here, and I want to introduce to you the brand new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Series available at More Beer. More Beer sells the highest standard in homebrewing equipment, and the Brewbuilt Conicals are just that. They're made from mirror-polished 304 stainless steel, and they come with loads of features that you and I have been looking for. They have a full 2-inch bottom dump valve, which will eliminate your clogging issues, while the sturdy base includes 4 reinforced legs, just like those big Pro tanks do. More Beer also carries the Brewbuilt line of options and add-ons like casters, pressure kits, and even external glycol chillers. So you can find out more about the new Brewbuilt X1 Conical Unitanks by going over to morebeer.com for detailed videos on the entire line of Brewbuilt Conicals. You can trust Brewbuilt with your next fermentation, and you can trust More Beer to find the right conical for you. Brewbuilt at morebeer.com.
Home brewers, craft brewers, beer lovers, beer drinkers.
Get ready for an all-new experience in information exchange and beer culture.
Your only source for live beer radio that brings expert brewers from around the globe
right to your home.
You're not just listening to broadcasters, it's the Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
Yes, sir. Welcome back. It's another good Sunday in the studio. Doc Scott just got here. Right on schedule, Doc.
Thanks. Actually, I had to stop and get something to eat because I hadn't eaten all day, and I've done that in here before, and not a good idea.
Yeah, it's not. I just leer at everybody who comes in here and starts chomping on the microphone, too. It's terrible radio.
Oh, yeah.
I'm always nervous when you call me at 15 minutes to the show, Doc. I'm always waiting for the worst. Not that you've ever called and given me bad news. I'm just waiting for that one time that you call and say, you know what? The wife just isn't having it today, Justin.
Well, it's either that or it's, the car's broken, the kid's bleeding. It's going to be, it's going to be wanting something like that. And it's good. We'll get him sewed up and I'll be down.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be nice. Yeah, I'm just finishing stitching up my kid. I'll be there in a few minutes. Yeah. I would accept that. That'd be fine. All right. In light of a few recent happenings around the Brewing Network, I'm going to get right into it and cover a couple things quickly. First off is that John is not with us today, unfortunately. Found out from him this morning, as I think he found out this morning, that his grandmother's very sick, so he's stuck in Santa Barbara. I shouldn't say stuck. He's there with his family, so he is going to be away for a little while. I assume he'll be back with us next week, but I'm really not sure. We'll see what happens. But we send our best to John and his family. If anybody wanted to do that personally, his email is john@thebrewingnetwork.com or johnp@thebrewingnetwork.com.
He's got several, so yeah.
I think it's John P. I think that's what he uses for everything. So johnp@thebrewingnetwork.com, you could send him a quick note. But he sent his best to us, apologizes he can't be here, and we're sorry about that too. We got a good show, but family comes first. So our best out to you, John. We'll miss you. In the meantime, we do not have a professional brewer today, but we do have a professional jackass that came in with us. Been on the show with us before. We got Jason Petros from B3 coming to hang out and fill in a little microphone time with us. And he knows a thing or two about brewing and definitely knows a couple things about brewing supplies, and I'm not really sure what else he knows. Anything?
When I find out, I'll let you know.
You know some stuff about meat. I know that. I've had some
Wait a minute. Where is this going?
An odd thing to say on this show, especially. But you do know some stuff about meat. I've had some good smoked meats that you've brought in to be eaten.
Oh yeah, the ribs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But he is having a party coming up, and he says you got to bring your own damn meat.
He says, he says both though. He says there will be meat.
There will be meat,
but you can also bring meat.
Yes, meat
it's like
always welcome.
It's a meat party. That's what I think it actually is. He says it's his housewarming party, but I'm pretty sure it's just a meat
They'll
party.
They'll be slinging meat everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, they're only guys invited. So,
It's the carnivore party, the male carnivore party.
Oh, and it's a bring your own beer too.
Yeah, which is like everybody he knows is a home brewer, so
they would bring it anyway. So
Mike McDowell, the second guy who responded,
I saw that.
BYO, that's my middle name.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that.
Plenty of beer available, I'm sure. So Jason's going to hang out and help us out today. We appreciate you coming in on short notice, Jason.
Not a problem.
I need someone to make fun of when John's not here. So.
Well, who am I going to make fun of when John's not here?
You're the low man on the totem pole.
Yeah. You have to make fun of yourself if you want.
That's fine.
You can make fun of the studio dog, the biscuit.
Yeah.
That'd be all right.
The shoe is on the other hand today.
So here's some other recent developments I've noticed at the Brewing Network lately. There are some rumors going around that people, tell others about our show, and then they tune into the show for the first time and they listen for a good 15 or 20 minutes, and there's no mention of beer.
beer.
Yeah. And they wonder, is it really a beer show? And they don't really, sometimes they don't come back. Sometimes they go back to their friends and complain it's not really a beer show. And so I'm gonna do two things. First, I'm gonna lay down the law. and second, I'm gonna make a few adjustments in light of that. So, I have now cut out the top 10 list. There will no longer be a top 10 list at the beginning of the show because it's impossible to do a beer-related top 10 each week. However, I will give the top 10 list a proper going-away funeral on next week's show, and it will be a listener top 10 list. It's been brewing in the forum for a while. In fact, I think they've even almost got 10. But I'm going to let them go ahead and post for another week. I'll pick out the best 10, and that will be a fond farewell to our top 10 list.
All right. I forgot this. My brother gave me a cool birthday card last week.
Uh-huh.
And it said, having a birthday versus having a beer. And it had like 5 or 6 different things. And I was going to bring that in, and I forgot.
Now, see, that would work because it's beer-related.
It's about beer.
It's about beer.
Yes,
so it's okay.
And it's pretty funny.
That was a good story, too.
I'll bring it in next week.
At all.
That just made me remember that I forgot it.
Okay. Bring it in. So
I'll go home and get it.
I'm going to stop doing. I guess sometimes we kind of philander around with different stories. We take 45 minutes occasionally with the intro. These are all things I like to do. It's good radio for me to hang out and do some of that. And a lot of our listeners do like that. Some of our regulars they hang out because they have the same ridiculous and twisted sense of humor that we do. Mm-hmm. And but not everybody does. So I'm going to make a compromise. I'm not going to cut it out. Here's the deal. I refuse to do a particularly a pure beer science show. It would put me to sleep. That's just the fact of the matter. As I'm not only a brewer, I'm a broadcaster, and I gotta have a little fun in here too. So I'm not cutting it all out. I'm just gonna try to be a bit more concise, and instead of throwing in random, as I'm searching for show stuff all the time, I always just find these funny things. I'm like, well, that has nothing to do with the show, but it's real funny. So I put it in anyway. Yeah. Well, I'll try not to do that. I'm gonna try my best. Anytime I do those things, I'm gonna push them to the end of the show. That way people can tune in the beginning. We're going to get right down to business, end of the show. I will not be cutting out the news because it's always beer-related news, so I'm going to keep that. And so we'll probably, do a little intro like this, get to the news, and then jump right into the show from now on and get to the beer-related stuff. This doesn't mean I'm cutting out Beer Jeopardy or any of the other stuff that's fun.
Yeah.
Just trying to keep it beer-related, that's all.
I won't come back if you cut out Beer Jeopardy.
Yeah, not doing anything like that. That'll be back soon. Daniela is going to have a microphone, not only for this entire show, but I think from now on. I've decided that Daniela needs a microphone all the time. I'm not always going to keep it turned on.
you have way too much power over there.
But I think that you've earned it, and people like to hear what you have to say. And you add. I've heard nothing but good comments about what you add to the show. And why wouldn't you have your own microphone?
People are just so nice to me. I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah.
More power to me then.
That's right. More power to you. So feel free to chime in anytime you want. You have your own microphone for the first time ever, Danielle.
Does that mean I really have to listen now?
Not really.
Okay, good.
I don't. I've got a microphone all the time.
I know. I can see it in your face.
I don't. Were you talking? I didn't even know what was happening there. So there you go. That's another new change for the show. Okay, this week's show in particular, which brings something new that's going to happen every week, is we're going to do an official commercial beer group tasting. And we're going to try to pick a beer each week that is as widely available as we can find, and taste it on air with our panel, who today is going to be Dr. Scott, JP, and myself. and then talk about it with you guys, because Doc's got a good palate. Doc and I are a good team sometimes, or rather I should say he's a good helper on my team, in that I can always pick out the stuff that's in the beer and the flavors, but I don't know what I'm picking out. And Doc somehow knows what the hell I'm talking about when I tell him what I'm picking out and tells me what it is. And what I want to do is extend that talent off to you guys, the listeners, so he can help you too in kind of, pick out different parts of the beer and the different flavors that you're tasting. And the feedback I've gotten already about this, Doc, and I'm going to read some in a little bit, is just awesome. And listeners are kind of saying the same thing that I've just said, is that they know what they like about beer and what they don't like about beer, but they don't always know how to put their finger on it. Right. So they're really excited about this segment so that we can help them do that. And of course we'll get people like Jameel back in here, who's a BJCP certified judge. He'll help us do it sometimes. But each week, and I'll post it as early on as I can. You go out, buy the bottle of beer, sit down with us in the middle of the show, and taste it. And that's scheduled today for right around a little after 6 o'clock. And today it's Samuel Adams Boston Lager. So if you didn't get a bottle yet, send your kid out to get one. Yeah, don't leave the show.
40 minutes.
You should stay and listen, but send someone else to get you a bottle. You got a little time. And that's going to be each week. So a new segment, and we'll be getting to that at the top of the 6 o'clock hour. And the rest of today's show is Mini Mash. We did an extract discussion last week. Doc, I can't say all of it on the air. I'll tell you off the air.
Okay.
Man, did we need you in here last week. I'm just going to say that.
Hey, I was at the airport hating life.
Were you?
Oh, yeah.
Because you were hungover?
Little, but that wasn't so much the issue. It was mostly just the stress of trying to keep the family in one thing. The plane's late. You got all the weirdos on Southwest you got to deal with.
Gotcha.
You got a lot of travel issues.
Yes.
You shouldn't leave, man.
Not like in the airport.
Well, we missed you. Although it was a good show, we did an extract show last week. We had a commercial brewer come in, Pacific Coast Brewing Company, and came and talked about his extract process. And today we thought we'd follow it up with the intermediate step between extract and all grain. I thought we'd do a mini mash show.
So it's perfect segue, right?
Good little segue. I'm going to be the main liaison between the mini mash and the extract, because I've just started doing it. So what I'm going to do is I've created a little outline there, and we're going to use my process. I've been reading a lot of things in the forum, our forum, about people switching up to mini mash, and I'm going to use that and answer their questions as well, and kind of bring it all into discussion. And you guys are just going to help me with that. Jason, you've dealt with some mini mash people at the store there, I imagine.
Oh yeah.
Have you ever done a mini mash yourself?
I've done 3 of them.
You've done 3. Okay, awesome. So we got a good little panel here. We're going to get to that, and that's going to be coming up real shortly. I just want to finish this beginning segment, and that's going to be today's show, is the mini mash. Surprise coming up in about 15 minutes. Daniela's beer's done, Doc. It's done.
I'm still gun shy from that first one.
From the glass of pee we gave it.
Yeah, a little joke.
This one is not as bad.
It was like yellow Alka-Seltzer.
So it's finally, those of you who have been listening know that a couple months ago, Daniela brewed her malty brown ale. And it's been sitting in the carboy for quite a while. Mm-hmm. But we kegged it up this week, carbonated it, chilled it, not necessarily in that order, and it's in the kegerator right now. So that's going to be our first tasting after I finish the news and a little listener feedback. And we're gonna finally taste Daniela's beer.
Awesome.
How long's it been on the kegerator?
8 weeks.
No, I've been on the
in
kegerator.
The kegerator.
2 days, and we had a little CO2 crisis yesterday too.
This is about the 4th or 5th day. It's very young.
What? Yeah,
no, I was just wondering, how long it would actually last in the kegerator.
It's going to last, yeah. Well, what we did was we went away for 2 days after we put it on the kegerator, so that was the best way to keep it around, I figured. I'm hoping that it might last another week or 2, because I think it's going to get better, although I think it's good, but it's young. But I'm not going to say whether it's a good beer or not, because I want you guys to taste it. So we're going to do that real shortly, but I think that's a good surprise for the listeners who've got lots of questions, Daniela. People have been wanting your beer.
I know. I've seen it in a chat room too.
Since we don't have a prize to give away today, maybe we should give away your beer.
Oh my God,
to somebody.
Poor guy.
We'll give away a bottle of Daniela's beer.
Should we taste it first?
Yeah, maybe so.
Doc, what am I about to taste of yours right here?
That's the classic American Pilsner.
Your champion beer here.
Champion beer.
All right.
So I thought I brought a little over.
Ooh, that's tasty. Good dry finish.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Very good beer. Nice and clear. Cloudier than your beers normally are, Doc.
I didn't really have time to filter it, so it's not usually my style for that one. But
gotcha.
This is the one that I did with Jamil's hop late kind of gig.
Oh, that's right.
So
explain that just briefly.
All the hops go in at the end.
Okay. Even your main bittering hop.
Yes.
Okay.
You can put the bittering hops in at the very end in the last 5 or 10 minutes. It's just that your utilization is going to be so low that you need a lot of hops.
Okay.
So, 20-gallon batch. I think I dumped close to 3 pounds of pellets in there.
3 pounds. Yeah. Smokes. That's a lot of hops.
2.5, 3 pounds. Yeah.
But you have to because you're not getting all of the oils out of it, so you got to just...
Right, so the bittering is just, it's mostly so you get a lot of flavor and aroma in it.
Okay.
And it gives a lot more mouthfeel to it. It all went in the last 15 and 10 minutes.
Right.
Something like that.
And you really get a lot more aroma.
Yeah.
I think, right, out of it, because, you don't usually smell a Pilsner like that with that kind of a good, strong aroma.
Yep, and it's got a lot of corn in this, too.
Now, are you thinking you're going to stick to that process now, or just kind of maybe
No, I want to try it with something different.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'll try it maybe with a pale ale or something, or maybe a brown ale or something that's like an American brown, something with a lot of hops. Try it a little late.
I remember when Jamil was on the show talking about that, he was having a nice hoppy beer with it, maybe an IPA or something, and was just floored by it, so asked the guy the process, and he recommended it to do with a beer that requires a lot of hops. A lot of hop flavor anyway.
Yeah, so I'll try it with something else. It's just that, when you see you're bumping all these hops in there, it's just...
Yeah.
It was a little scary putting all that many hops in there.
Right. Well, when we talk about my mini mash that I did this week, I was the opposite. I was horrified at the small amount of hops I was putting in my batch. I'll tell you guys about it. I was literally horrified.
What'd you brew?
I brewed the pale ale again.
Okay.
That I turned into an IPA the last time.
The IPA ale again?
And you guys said, hey, brew it again and try. So I changed a couple things. And one of the things was definitely to drop down the hop bill. And I'm telling you, it was really painful. I'll go into it later. Let's hold it. But I more than cut the hops in half. And as I'm looking at the amount of hops I'm about to pour in, I'm like, man, can that be right? That's it? That's all? So
you could have used the same amount that you did before, just put them in later.
Yeah.
And I've done that before instead of actually just cutting down the hops.
Gotcha.
I'll cut the time down. Instead of putting them in at 60 minutes, I'll put them in at 40.
Okay. Okay. A little better.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll talk about it. I got my recipe printed out and everything, so when we get to my mini mash, we'll do that. All right. Some quick news stories. Actually, let me do some listener feedback first. I want to do that. Let's get into that. I got a bunch of emails. There is a feedback email address right on the website, and I do appreciate these guys using that address for their feedback. Sometimes I get a lot of them straight to me, which is cool too. If you got questions just for me and about the business, and that's fine. But if you're talking about the show, send them to feedback@thebrewingnetwork.com, because it just allows me to keep it organized and know where I'm at. And lately, it's really been active. We've been getting a bunch of responses in there, and what I like is that people aren't just talking about what they think about the show. A couple people challenged what we said on the show, and a couple people just sent in questions right there that didn't have to do with any particular topic on any of our shows. They just felt like we might know what we're talking about and sent in a question, and I printed out a couple of those for you, Doc, so maybe you can help them out.
Oh, yeah. Stump that.
First, how about just a couple of thank yous from people? People just send it in. I thought you might want to hear these, Doc, because you don't get to get the good end of it sometimes. Here we go. Just dropping a note to tell you how much I love the show. Always work on Sundays, but I listen to the archives religiously. I'm a new brewer, 5 extract batches, and have learned so much. It's so obvious how much work you guys put in preparing for the show, and we all appreciate it. Keep up the good fight, Jacob. I like it when they do keep up the good fight, because that's like my thing. I'm like, oh yeah, we're fighting against a man because we're poor.
The man, keep it down.
I don't know why. I can relate to that. Another quick thank you. This one's cool because it's about somebody from somebody who's going to open up a microbrew. Hey guys, just want to let you know that I think your show is great. I look forward to hearing it every week. Unfortunately, I work on Sundays, so I miss it occasionally, but I pick up later the archives. I just want to let you know that I'm in the middle of starting up a brew pub in Central California. He's going to do it in Kernville. I've whitewater rafted in Kernville before.
In Kern River.
It's a cool place, yeah. Let's see. We should be breaking ground by November 1st, he says. So good luck with that.
Really?
Hopes to have the doors open by April 1st of 06. He just want to let us know that the information from some of the pro brewers that you've had on the show is great for someone like me. Please keep up the great work.
We seem to get a lot of that. A lot of people want to hear the pro side of it.
Yeah.
They want to maybe think, hey, what's like on the other side.
Right. Well, because I think the more you homebrew and the more you go to your regular job, the more you realize you'd rather be brewing. Yeah. And so people are looking more and more how to do that crossover. And so that's cool. I'm glad that people like the pro brewers coming in rather than just have home brewers come in all the time, you know. Mm-hmm. Okay, here you go. Here's our first... well, we'll see if it's a correction or not. We'll see what you think, Doc. He says, hi, listen to the archives on a really slow day here at work. And one thing that one of your listeners asked about was why wheat beers stay cloudy. And he says they stay cloudy due to colloidal protein haze, not because yeast is left in suspension. And I think that one of the things we mentioned is that a lot of wheat beers are unfiltered. It's part of the style to leave the yeast in suspension. But he's saying that I don't recall the show in particular if we said that the haze caused in a wheat beer was just yeast suspension. But his correction, it's due to colloidal protein haze. Doc, what do you think?
It must have been a show I wasn't here.
Because you would have said the same?
I would have said that it was the protein haze.
Okay. It very well may have been a show that Doc wasn't here, and then for that matter, thank you. And then there's this email may contain confidential or illegally appropriate matter. There's like a bunch of other...
Cool.
You love those emails that come with disclaimers. That's awesome. But he says keep up the great work. Not an angry listener at all, not calling us stupid, just wanted to help, and that we appreciate, because we were probably missing Doc there. Here's another question for you. And I have no idea about either one of these things, so I've got nothing to say. But maybe you do, Jason, and of course you will, Doc. What is your opinion on fly sparging versus batch sparging? Is one better than the other? There you go, boys. Sounds like a loaded one to me. That's what I think.
I'll let Jason go first, and then I'll kind of go with what I want.
All right, Jason?
The only thing that I know about those two is there's a big debate on the B3 forum a lot about that, and I've only done and I get them confused. I forget which is batch and which is fly.
Batch is fly is when you're continuously running the sparge water over it. Batch sparging is when you drain the whole bed, fill it up again, let it soak for a while, dump that out. And
are there only those two? Some people don't even do either one of those, right?
No, what's the third one? There's another one.
There is a no sparge kind of brew.
There's a no sparge one.
It's like 30% more your malt bill.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a no sparge and I've tried them all.
Okay.
And I've gone back to fly sparging.
Yeah, I've done both, and they say you get a better extraction rate from batch, but I've never really gotten it. My efficiency's been pretty low when I do that, so I just fly.
Okay.
I was looking for something that would cut down my brew time. And I tried a no sparge, and I tried actually a batch sparge. And it really didn't.
You mean your wife was looking for something to cut down your brew time, right?
Well, yeah. But how much fun is it watching that thing sparge?
That's not the fun part.
And it's just kind of like watching paint dry. So I was looking for something to cut down the brew day a little bit, and I was going to try the batch sparging. And once it drains out, it doesn't drain that fast, and then you fill it back up again. You got to let it soak for a while, let it get all soaked in solution again, and then it really doesn't drain that fast. So
okay,
I really don't. It wasn't for me.
Okay,
and it didn't seem like it was something I really wanted to do. So I just went back to just fly sparging, and I got a lot better efficiency. And maybe it's just I didn't give it a chance.
Yeah,
enough. Maybe I'll try it again.
Okay.
My recommendation to that listener is just try them both. Check it out, and then keep your numbers. Run them through like ProMash or something, and you'll find out your extraction and just kind of what you like to do best.
There's more than just extraction rate on it. There's flavor profiles, as some people say is better one over the other.
One being directly related to the other, too, I'm sure.
And then the time thing, too.
Yeah, okay. All right, so check it out. But these guys are both doing fly sparging. So there you go. Okay, here's one, just another comment about recipes, a suggestion for us. Says, hey, Justin, just wanted to commend you and your cohorts for a great radio program. I've just started listening and love your show. John and Dr. Scott are great. and you've had some great hosts.
But not Justin.
Yeah, I like that. These are my favorite ones. They're like, hi, I know that you're the one to contact, but I don't want to talk to you. Anyway, that's cool. I have one suggestion for your forum, he says. Could you list recipes that are given out during the show? You've had some great guests, and they've given out some great recipes. You could have a section on the forum called Recipes from the Show, or something like that. And it would provide the brew community with the recipes in a written form. Keep up the great work, and brew on. Now, I'm reading this one because I think it's an awesome suggestion. It's a great idea. I think most of the guests that we've had in here who are giving their recipe wouldn't mind us posting it.
Hasn't this come up before?
I think what's come up is that we should kind of get the recipes beforehand and have them ready for the show. But we just can't do that because a lot of times we hit up the people on the fly.
On the spot,
and
right
you
there.
know, especially because some of them, if you give them a chance to think about it before the show, they won't give a recipe, and then you can't hit them again on the show. So sometimes it's better just to surprise. You know, everyone's having fun. It's really easy. You say, "Give me a recipe," they say, "Fine."
Or at least if they, you know, on the show, you get say, "Can I have the recipe?" And they're we can't do that. And then you can start picking their brain for, what about this? How much of that?
Right.
What do you use for this? And, and they'll give you the tidbits here and there, so you can piece the rest together yourself.
Right. I don't get that. What? I don't understand why
they're not giving it out.
Yeah.
I really believe there's only so many recipes out there.
Exactly, and then you know, this one uses 2 ounces more of Special B. I can't, you know, I'm going to adjust it. Come on, it's not going to be the same beer.
Yeah.
Anyway you look at it, it's not going to be the same beer.
You know, I relate it to the entertainment industry as far as movies and novels and stories are concerned. Here's the thing about that, and in studying the communication part of it, there's really only about 12 topics. Mm-hmm. That's it.
There hasn't been an original idea in 50 years.
There's 12 topics. I had the list at one time. I wish I had the list, because if I read it, you could take each one and, you know, you can think about your favorite movie that you think, oh no, this movie's different. But you could really put it back to this list. There's just 12 topics. But you can do cool things with those 12 topics, and that's why we keep watching movies and thinking that they're new movies. And that's why we continue to be entertained, because somebody takes the 12 topics, one of the 12, and just does something just really entertaining about it, or really good about it. And it's the same with these beer recipes. Like you're saying, Doc, that there's no new recipes. There are maybe new ways to put them together. You change one part of it, things like that. But, man, for how many years has this been going on? There's not a new recipe. Give them out, really.
And granted, they do have new ingredients coming out, new hops coming out.
Sure.
It's still, you know, how much...
But that's like the equivalent of having computers doing new special effects in movies. It's still the same movie, but they're able to do new things to really jazz it up. So the hops are still hops, but they're new hops, and you can get some new flavors out of it.
Right.
You know.
But I still really think that, you know, they should just give the damn recipe out.
I agree.
You're not going to brew the same beer. It's not going to be anything like that. And
you know, I've only had one beer that actually tastes as close to the commercial that I've ever had. Customer Eric Innes brewed our Black and Brutal Bitter from Rogue. And I've had the beer before, and he brought his beer, and I'm like, wow. That's exactly what it's supposed to taste like. I mean, granted, it wasn't the same thing because the yeast wasn't different, whatever. But I mean, it was as spot on as you can get.
Okay.
But it still wasn't the same.
It's even still different.
It's just
so even if I had my own brew pub and I got,
it would be totally.
I got his recipe and I went and brewed it on my system. It still would not be the same.
Right.
Or what am I going to do? Hey, I've got a clone of his. Buy mine.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's my suggestion about this posting the recipes, because I do think it's a great idea. As far as the past recipes goes, I'm going to need somebody's help or a lot of your help. I can't do this. I don't have the time. You're going to have to go back and listen to the archives and write down the recipes as they're given and post them in the forum. If one or many of the listeners want to do that, I think it'd be a great thing for the forum to have. I could tell you that I'm going to do it, but I'm going to be lying. Basically, I'm lying. I got too many other things to do. What I can do
don't make Justin do it. It's not going to happen.
In the future, though, as we have guests in, I can have Daniela or Natty or somebody who's hanging out try to write it down and get it down here in the show, and then I won't need you to go back and listen to the archive. Or if a listener would like to volunteer and listen real close, go into the chat room, make sure they write it down, and get that posted on the forum, that would be great, too.
Right.
Because I do think it's a good idea. idea and would help out to I'd like to brew some of those recipes, that we've had on here, and man, they go right past me. I don't have a single one of them. I don't have time to write it down, nothing, but I'd like to, brew a couple of those guys' beers. So,
Vinny was real good about giving those out.
Absolutely. So that's my suggestion, is if you guys are interested in that and you want it as part of your community in the forum there, if you got any time, go back as you're listening to an archive and rewind that segment and write down the recipe, post it up. You can put it under the beer radio section, or there's even a recipes section there, whatever. I'll put up a brand new section if you want. That would be fun. So, there you go. I think that's our listener feedback. I had a couple others, but a lot of thanks, which is cool, and not too much criticism, which is also cool. Yeah. Although all the criticism helps because it gives us a better show. So don't shy away from sending that too. If you guys have listened in the past, I read those on the air also.
Well, I've actually gotten a lot of feedback after you finally posted the pictures of my brew house.
Ah, yes.
See, Justin didn't get around to it for like 3 weeks. Yeah. But I've got a lot of people email me. Cool things, and thanks for.
I think I forwarded you one. Somebody wanted to know about your air cleaning system. I hope you got that.
No, I didn't get that.
All right, I'll go back and check and send that to you.
One. Okay.
He said it's the one thing that he is always arguing with people about in brewing his brew house, and wants to try to get it right with you. So I'll send you that.
What was it? My HEPA filter?
I'm pretty sure it was that giant red box on your ceiling.
That's my HEPA filter. I don't use that for when I'm brewing. I use it for when I'm doing my yeast culturing, or when I'm doing my yeast starters and things.
Just to keep it clean. It actually might have even been about the fan system you were talking about too. So, but I'll forward that on to you. And Doc, I think I'm going to give you an email address this week. I hope you don't mind. You can check it or not check it. I don't care.
Look at that. Coming up in the world.
But that way, because I know you've got a private address that you may not want out to the world, but we'll give you a Brewing Network address that I will give out to the world.
Okay.
And,
cool.
Hey, no guarantees. Doc's got other things to do, but if you get around to looking at it, then he can answer your questions there. Otherwise, I'll just try to field them.
I'll do my best.
During the show. So there you go. Okay. We're going to take a quick break. Daniela, is everyone okay with the format of jumping right into the beer stuff? Any comments
the chat
in there?
is very, very active tonight. We have the luck that Jamil is actually on the chat room tonight too. He's answering a bunch of questions. We have 27 people in the chat room already. So if anybody wants to log on, it's really very active, very much beer talk tonight.
Cool. And basically no one's going to listen to us because Jamil's in the chat room answering all the questions.
I have a gripe with Jamil. Jamil was supposed to send me an email this morning pre-10 o'clock, and he never did it.
Oh.
Fantasy football.
Jason's pouting.
I'm pissed off at Jamil.
Proud. What a girl.
Jamil, if I lose, you're going so down.
Does he not only have great beer insights, but his fantasy football insights are good too?
Yeah, he picks them early.
Okay.
Young and early, and then lets them go.
Gotcha. I know that he's told us on the show that part of his Sunday ritual is absolutely football.
Yep. He'll brew as long as it doesn't cut into the football.
Into the football, right.
But he's a Chiefs fan, so what can he really know?
That's true. All right, so join us in the chat room. You get Jamil in there. That's cool. Plus a whole host of other characters. I love the guys in our chat room, and sometimes the girls, too. I don't know if there's any in there right now, but...
Well, maybe me.
There you go. So we're going to do a quick break. When we come back, we're going to taste Daniela's beer. Right when we get back, I'll pour them over the break, and then we're going to get right into our mini-mash discussion. So, sound good to everybody?
Perfect.
All right. It's the Brewing Network. Thanks for tuning in.
You're listening to three guys with one microphone and 5 gallons of beer.
The Brewcasters
on the Brewing Network.
Man, I'm having all kinds of trouble over here with the board today.
Yeah, I know. You get that look on your face, like, and he's grabbing buttons and turning things. And
Check this out, though. I got offered a job at a radio station in San Francisco.
Wow, doing what? Sweeping?
Working the board.
Oh.
as I failed doing it today. I'm going in there to meet the station manager tomorrow. It's a part-time job, so fear not. I'm not leaving the Brewing Network. I'm hoping to do that instead of waiting tables, which would make me a much healthier and happier person.
There you go.
And then do this the rest of the time. But I'm really excited because that's what I've been looking for since I got out of school, basically, is a little foot in the door at a big station, and it's owned by Infinity out there, and it's in the 5th largest market in the country there in San Francisco. So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Well, going back to your waiting job, you didn't look too hurt when you were in there.
Oh, I put on a good face.
Oh, he does. Yeah. My wife and I stopped by in there, and
that was cool.
And had a couple of beers with Justin there.
That was very nice. No, I thought about that yesterday because I was pretty upbeat working there yesterday, and I was and first I thought, maybe I'm not as miserable here as I think I am. Maybe I'm okay doing this. And then I realized, yeah, there's that. Yeah, absolutely. And really, I just think that I don't like public misery. You know what I mean? I don't like it when people go around, how are you doing? And they're like, oh, I got this wrong and I got that wrong. And they just kind of do that. I'm kind of more to myself.
But see, you have the remedy. You give them a beer.
I give them a beer. Well, I just think that no matter how miserable I am there, I turn it off and I do my thing and I can be upbeat about it if I have to. And then I remember when I'm done how miserable I was doing it. That's all. That's what I think. I just gotta go through the motions. Anyway, even though I, did the intro all beer related and concise, it still took us 40 minutes. I just realized at the beginning of the show.
Right through
But it wasn't 40 minutes of random discussion. It was 40 minutes of beer discussion.
Okay.
Randomly.
Because yeah. There's usually a little rambling going on.
I didn't even do the news. It was 40 minutes.
Oh, dang, yeah.
You know what? They're not great stories anyway. I'll do, how about a real quick overview? A beer pong update. God, it amazes me how often beer pong's in the news. But I did an update, you weren't here, I think it was last week, that Budweiser started sponsoring a Bud Pong event. Ugh. But, of course, they're not allowed to, support binge drinking, so the official Bud Pong rules, which is the same as beer pong, you hit the ping pong ball into a cup at the end. If you do it, that guy has to drink. The official Bud Pong rules are you play with water. At a bar. They sponsor these events at a bar. But the official rules are that you play with water, right? Well, this week, a mere week after the New York Times posted this article, Budweiser has found out that people were actually playing with beer. And so now they've retracted their sponsorship of Bud Pong. Which is, come on. This is exactly this is the discussion I was having with John and Don last week, was that it's just ridiculous when these companies, say that they're something that they're not, like we don't know, we really thought, some of us are sitting at home going, well, maybe they really did think people were going to play with water.
Because that's a fun game. Oh, look, I'm not hydrated.
Yeah.
I need to play some water pong.
Yeah. I'm going to make myself pee every 6 seconds.
Ready, go.
I
win.
So. Well, obviously it was somebody in marketing thought it would be a good idea, and then the feedback came back and the higher-ups didn't like it.
Yeah. You think there's a new position opening in the marketing department of Budweiser?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, whoever went and talked to New York Times is whose position's open up right now.
The scapegoat.
Yeah.
Someone's going to go down.
So I thought that was funny, and we also discussed how it's these sorts of discussions we have that's why Budweiser turned us down to do a spot on the show, 'cause we don't ever really have good things to say. I'm sorry about that, but it's not my fault.
Right.
It's not my fault that's how you run your business. Anyway, yeah. No revenue coming in from them, huh?
Well, we should at least give them equal time. Get them in here.
I do. We tried. They won't come in. Here's what happened. I explained this last week, so I'll do it real quick. John was exchanging emails with them for quite some time, and they were into it. And they have to go through a lot of channels to do something like that. Corporate has to approve.
Yeah, they can't make a decision.
They've always been very, very much in control of their publicity, all of their media stuff. So they were going through with that, but they were into it. And it got so far as that the last email exchange was basically give us some dates. Let's see if we can hook something up.
So they come down with some beer, some Budweiser chicks.
Well, John sent him a bunch of dates, and a couple weeks went by. And the next email was, sorry, we can't do it. Very short, end of communication. And we think it's that they went, they just decided to do a little research, went back and listened to our archives, and, thought that we were going to abuse them on the show, which we wouldn't have.
No, not at all.
But that's very much a science over there.
That's what we wanted to talk about. Well, actually, was that part. But
that's all the good stuff I say about them is how much they put into making it consistent, how hard that is to do.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to drag this out because this is what we said last week too. Same thing, is that we actually would have been very good to them, but I think that their guys just heard us say a bunch of bad things and assumed that we would get him on here and abuse him.
Not at all.
But, oh well, maybe somebody else. Maybe we'll get one of the other big guys in here because we always use Bud as our scapegoat anyway. So we'll go for one of the other guys that we don't use. Like maybe Bud's best friend Pabst. They love those guys. That's about it. The other news was just about how kids can recognize beer and cigarettes as young as age 2. They did a little mock role-playing study where they put kids into a mock grocery store, and they all picked up cigarettes and beer, among other things.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that has everything to do with advertising and nothing to do with parental
Exactly.
control, right?
Well, this study actually just talks about the parental stuff, because a lot of the kids would say things like, here's one 6-year-old boy offering a Barbie doll a newspaper and cigarettes said, "Honey, have some smokes. Do you like smokes? I like smokes." Another person said,
Awesome.
A 4-year-old girl who picked up a pack of Camels said, "I need this for my man. A man needs cigarettes."
Something tells me in that household there's another man in 6 months.
Yeah. Crotchrot sent me this,
Something
by the
in
way.
double wide.
Appreciate you sending me some news, Christian. That's cool. Crotchrot, you're in Florida. Are you getting hurricaned out right now?
No, they're waiting for it to get him.
Call us up tell us if you're just like boarding up your house or something. It's 888-401-BEER if anyone does want to call up and comment, chat with us, whatever you want to do. That's fine. And join us in the chat room as well. That's about it. It just goes on through that study about how kids can recognize those things as early as age like 2 to 6. And it's mostly because parents are having dinner parties and stuff, and they know that, very shortly after your guest walks into the house, you offer him a glass of wine or a bottle of beer, right? And it is a very normal thing in our culture, in human culture, not just America.
Social culture.
Yeah, exactly. But kids pick up on that. They know not to offer milk. They know to offer wine or beer or a cigarette after dinner.
It's a very ancient, thing. I mean, that's what, it was very godlike, over 2,000 years ago.
Absolutely.
And
Amen.
that's what you offer. You don't offer your guest water, which is probably contaminated. You offer them the best of what you have, and that is beer.
Something without bacteria in it.
Yeah. Or at least bacteria that you put in it.
There you go. A little Brett, but it's good.
Yeah. So, I thought it was interesting, though, that it's not just that they're picking up those items, like as if they had seen them on television. It's that they really identify with those items and what those items mean as early as that. So, anyway, thanks again, Christian, for sending me that story. Okay, Daniela's beer sitting in front of you.
Woo!
It is a malty brown. It's actually a recipe from B3. So, Jason, you should be able to compare it to maybe somebody else's if they've brought it into you.
Oh, great.
It is Daniela's first batch, and I think she says no holds barred, right?
Absolutely.
Is that true? No holds barred?
Let it rip.
Give me your feedback.
Yeah,
absolutely.
let it rip.
I appreciate your feedback.
Would you guys want me to start so you feel more comfortable? Or
I want them to start, actually.
Okay, good. Do it.
Scott should start.
Doc.
Oh, my God.
Because we're friends.
Yes.
You're giving all these qualities for the listener. So, you should describe how it looks, all that kind of stuff so the people at home can know what...
It's a nice brown color. It's good. The head stays there, nice lacy kind of head. Something you expect from a brown.
Mm-hmm.
Not a lot of hop aroma. Really malty.
Yeah.
It's cold.
Yeah, it is.
I like
Given
it
the first part
cold.
of the name is malty.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. The coldness and any carbonation issues would be my fault because I did both of those things. I like all my beer icy cold, and so my fridge stays at the same temp all the time. Carbonation did.
It's been out a little while, so it's not as cold as it probably was, and that'll help the malt come out.
Okay. All right, why don't you get into those flavors there, Doc? What do you think? Sounds like Darth Vader's breathing into the microphone somewhere. Who is that?
Not me.
Not me.
It's probably me, and I don't even notice. It is me.
Tastes maybe a little extracty.
Yes, exactly.
Like a little, like it's not finished fermenting.
Like it's caramely. Okay. Maybe a little too sweet.
Okay.
It's not bad.
How long did you boil it for?
1.5 hours, I think, right?
Yeah, you did a 90-minute boil.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, good long boil. If it didn't ferment out, I would guess it was a temperature issue or something because it was in that carboy for a long time, right?
For a very long time, really.
Well, it doesn't. Well, that'll have to do with your extract too. Sometimes they won't go all the way down.
Okay.
Here's what I think I did wrong with this beer, to be quite honest. I think it's a little bit weak in flavor and body and all that. I was a little disappointed. I thought it would be much stronger. And I think it's because we added a lot of water to it to have like the full 5 gallon.
Yeah, that was before I stopped doing that.
I don't want to do that again because I was really disappointed how watery it tasted actually. It got better now with the last 4 days or so, but I don't want to do that again. I think that was a mistake actually.
Well, that's one thing that just really gets me. Some of the people is, I want 5 gallons of beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, really, it's your original gravity that you're shooting for.
Right.
If you hit that and you got 4.5 gallons, stay there.
Right. Well, and I took you commented about that last time. I was told by John actually that hey, go ahead and fill it over the 5 gallon mark so that you want a 5 gallon batch. So I said okay, and I never thought twice about it until I started thinking about it more and more, and then I mentioned it on the air a couple weeks ago, and you said, yeah, you're still in that phase where you want 5 gallons instead of good beer, and I actually thought, no, I'm actually not in that phase. I do want good beer. I just never thought to stop doing it because I was told to do that. So this batch I just brewed, when we talk about my mini mash, I didn't do it. However, Daniela's was the batch we brewed prior to that, and we did overfill past the 5 gallon mark, enough to make up for the trube that was going to have to sit at the bottom.
But it's not that. I mean, it tastes pretty good.
It got watered down.
You know? I don't feel like it feels watered down.
Not at all.
Really?
Not
it's
at all.
Not
well,
big.
it was really worse like 4 days ago, which is funny too that the beer changes so much still. That's really amazing to me to see that now. It amazes me. I'm totally excited about brewing now.
Yeah, the carbonation brings it up a lot, and I think it's a good level of carbonation. I like them a little more sparkly.
Me too. Yeah.
And it gets it off your tongue if you really malty at first.
Right.
A lot of carbonation will help peel it off your tongue. Not just laying on your tongue.
Right.
I think it's a pretty good beer.
Really?
I was thinking about.
Are you serious?
I was thinking about the malty, extracty taste too. That it doesn't finish real dry at all, and I think it would be better and how would we have done? Like it'd be better if it did finish drier. Then the malt is okay because it's a nice brown ale. It should be malty, but
to me it tastes like there's some scorching.
Okay.
Issues. There's like a soy sauce kind of.
So 90-minute boil too long kind of scorching.
Maybe not too long, but just you didn't get everything off the bottom of the kettle, maybe.
Okay.
Like when you drained it out and cleaned it out, was there?
No.
Really?
Also, when you're putting the extract in there, you use liquid extract, it'll just go right to the bottom, and if it doesn't dissolve on the way down, it goes to the bottom and sticks it, and it can char down there.
You did your stir and everything.
I try to stir constantly because I'm aware of that actually, but maybe you still lose something. Maybe.
Well, another way is to put extract late. You don't need to boil it 90 minutes. You can boil the water and the hops for 90 minutes and put this in the last half an hour or so, and you get a lot less of that caramely kind of burnt kind of taste to it. But as far as for a brown, it kind of masks it pretty well. There's no contamination issues with this.
No, it's clean beer.
It's clean.
Which is surprising to me, actually, because I left it in the carboy for like 8 weeks.
So there's no really off things with, with any kind of contamination. I think the mouth feels fine for this. It's a good body to it.
Are you guys just being nice?
No.
I'm going to ask you this question. I'm going to put it to you.
I wouldn't talk this much if I was going to be nice.
Because I've got a new standard I'm going to give to homebrew also. Just another thing to add to how I evaluate them. And I'm going to ask this of you, Doc, and then I'll tell you my answer. Okay. And that is, if you had tasted this at the Homebrew Festival we were at a couple of weeks ago, among all those bad beers we tasted, and some okay beers, among all the beers that we took some drinks and then dumped them out, and they poured you a half a glass, would you have finished it, or would you have dumped it?
Good question, isn't it? It kind of would have been. It depends on when it was, because as I was getting along the row, I was getting full.
Well, just think of it in terms of flavor, though. Would you have said, I don't want to drink that?
No, I would have drank this.
You would have drank it?
I would have drank this, because this is better than a lot of those other ones out there.
Yeah. I would have drank it too. That was my. I really thought of. I honestly sat and thought of that because I wanted to know: is it one of these home brews that I was complaining about the whole time there, or would I have finished it? And Daniela, I would have finished this beer.
Yeah, probably.
Really?
I would have finished this one too.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Are you guys proud of me?
Yes, I am.
Oh, it's my first batch. I'm really excited about it.
You should do the same beer with a mini mash next.
Really?
It is. No, she did mini mash. In fact,
in this or
in this,
yeah.
In fact, it was probably with the faulty thermometer I used on my last mini mash, and she could probably do it again and really get those temperatures more accurate too. And I dialed in my mini mash process too.
Was it too hot?
It was. Yeah,
that's why I didn't finish dry enough.
Okay.
Oh, really?
It was definitely too hot.
Yeah, if you keep the temperature down during the mash, it'll ferment out a lot better and a lot drier.
Oh, really? Okay.
I didn't know you did a mini mash with this.
Yeah, she did. She went straight to mini mash. She wanted to. She's like, yeah.
But in that kit, there's only 2 pounds or 3 pounds of base malt. Would it really?
Okay.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, in all grain, yeah, but in a mini mash, is that? That's. I mean, I don't know. I'm just asking.
Mm-hmm. Well, you get half your fermentables out of it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
It could be a little less.
I think there's like 6 pounds of extract in that kit.
I don't remember. She lost her recipe sheet.
Yeah, I lost it. I don't know where it is.
You guys are on the money, man. Faulty thermometers, too hot, no recipe sheet.
Well, he dropped the thermometer.
8-week fermentation.
Well, but the 8 weeks apparently didn't harm at all.
It's amazing that you can even drink any of our beer. It absolutely astonishes me when it comes out drinkable.
It is clean. It's pretty clear too. I mean, I'm actually pretty surprised.
Well, 8 weeks in the fermenter.
That's right.
Thank you.
It's good. Good job.
But actually, it's sitting on the yeast that long. I'm surprised.
Was this the one that you entered in the competition?
No, I'm not going to enter anything. I'm not ready. I'm going to enter something next year, and that's going to be like spectacular.
I thought you were doing this for the
Queen of Beer.
She was. But then I read the guidelines. And it would have been illegal because she brewed the beer, but I advised her, like, okay, this is the part in the process and stuff like that. You're not allowed to do any of that in the Queen of Beer. You're not allowed to take any advice whatsoever. Doc had a great idea. Had I written down all my advice, given it to a female, and then that female gave it to her, it would have been totally acceptable.
There's always a workaround.
Would have been acceptable.
Written it down,
but I wouldn't
posted
have
on the fridge
wanted
for you.
No, it would have had to be. It has to be relayed by another female.
Right. So he would have taught. He would have taught the other female.
Yes.
How to brew, and she would have relayed all her knowledge.
Yes.
To Daniela.
And then it would have been completely legal to put on. But we could not have entered it because.
And that's
it would have
not
been
me
illegal.
either. You know, I think it's good that you have to do it by yourself. You helped me. You supported me with your advice. I did everything myself. Like I did it, but he helped me. He explained a lot of things to me. So that's not me brewing it. So I'm gonna learn how to brew by myself. I'm gonna read a book. I just asked some people for advice on books.
Cool.
I'm gonna do everything by myself. I'm not gonna use a kit either. I want to design my own recipe. And then, certainly, I'm not gonna bring my beer to a competition for only girls. I'm gonna do the real stuff with men and females.
I just had a thought. You know, is it still illegal? Because you're gay, right?
Does that
matter?
The queen of beers.
If the guy who told you is super
you could
effeminate,
enter with the queen. That's true.
The queen of beers.
That's true. That's true. I could have taken estrogen pills for a week and
grow some boobs.
Been even more gay.
What do you think about my beer now? So, like in general,
it's definitely better than it was when we first tried it.
I think so too.
Honestly, I've been drinking it all day. This is like my fourth glass. I think it's really good.
But I knew anyway that you would love it.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because you're cute.
Because you have to.
Not at all. I would have told you.
He would. Like when I cook shitty stuff, he tells me.
If this was swill, you'd know it. Because I say it about my own beer. If it's swill, I wish I could do it to everybody all the time. I got no problem saying, hey, that's bad news.
Yeah, he would be really so straightforward with me. Absolutely. But I'm happy. I'm really relieved you guys don't think it's for puking, you know.
No.
Still sitting here, nobody spit it out yet, so that's pretty good.
I puked a little bit in my mouth, but
Did you? But you kept it inside, that's good.
Well, there's no bucket. No, it was good. Yeah. You know what? Actually, my first kit was a red, and it sucked.
Oh, really?
Totally sucked.
Jamil told me even that his first batch sucked too.
His last batch
My
sucked.
My first batch was a brown ale, and it sucked.
Really?
I liked it, but you know what? It sucked.
You know what? My first batch was awesome.
It was, yeah.
No, mine sucked, and I still went back at it.
Wow. Yeah. Does that mean I'm going to make better beer than you do eventually? Because I start off better?
Let's not get crazy.
Well, thank you guys for taking the time and trying my beer. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for giving it to me.
Yeah.
It was great.
Nice work. Good job, Daniela.
Thank you.
And for her first batch, all information has come from this show on that beer. So if it was terrible, we would be failing at our jobs here, Doc. So it's a good thing just based on that.
Hey, I got good news for you.
I bought worse beer than that.
I agree.
I have some good feedback from you. I was talking to this past weekend. I was at the Firestone Walker Oktoberfest.
Yeah,
hanging out with Matt, the brewer, who doesn't hate you guys, by the way, and who really does want to come back.
Oh, cool! Very good.
We're not all hammered.
No,
he was our guest on the Drunken Show. If you don't know,
and he was talking to Vinny at Russian River, and he said Vinny had a great time, and he gets actually a lot of phone calls based on people hearing him.
Nice.
From the show.
That's cool.
So Matt is talking about you guys down in the Central Coast.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
There's a few people doing that, and I appreciate that. Those guys I mentioned, I think it was last week, some brewers who listen to the show from New York sent me a great email. I hope I responded to it. If I didn't, I apologize, because I wrote it in my head at least. I maybe just didn't type it out. But basically, they came down and tried to, they went and they visited John at the beer shop. They're just here on vacation. And they tried to catch me where I work, but I wasn't working that day. But they did a little brewery tour, and the only breweries they went to, at least what they mentioned to me, were the guys that they heard on this show. So they went to Lagunitas, who was one of our very first guests. Mm-hmm. If not our Morgan was our first. No, they didn't. They went to Lagunitas and they went to Russian River. I think they must have been up in that area, probably going to the Redwoods and things like that. So you can go up the coast there. And they went to Lagunitas and they missed Vinny by 10 minutes. But I thought that's cool. And man, does that help out the Brewing Network? You go into these brew pubs and you say, hey, we're here because we heard you on the Brewing Network.
Justin Santmas.
Oh man, you got no idea what that's going to do for the future of the Brewing Network and keeping us alive around here. So, thank you to them, and thank you to everybody who does that kind of thing. You know, and these brewers too, Matt included and Vinny. They go talking, and that's going to help us out. It's going to keep us alive. So, cool stuff. All right, why don't we start talking mini mash? You guys all right with that?
Sure.
Actually, though, it's 6:00. And I said that we said we'd do the tasting right around the 6 o'clock hour.
You know, if we don't, those beers sitting at the home, guys, it's not going to be there.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? Because I said we would, and that way maybe some people are probably just hanging out to do that. Are your palate, do you need something to clean your palate?
Like
water?
No, I'm good.
How about, I can do a real quick song, and we can just get out our Samuel Adams.
Why don't we? Because we got to get it out. And
okay, so just it's a quick break. I mean it. I'm gonna do. What do I got here? I got a 3-minute song. So everybody at home,
do something by the Ramones.
What song?
I got Willie Nelson. I got a little Whiskey River by Willie Nelson. Nice. Will that be all right? Clean your palate at home. Try to eat a piece of bread, a cracker if you have it. Otherwise, at least just clean it out with some water.
Lick some carpet.
Get your Samuel Adams. Now you're going to want that in a nice clean glass, one that's clear. Don't drink it out of the bottle because you're going to get a different flavor profile, I think, than what we're going to be describing here.
It's hard to get aroma out of that.
So if you picked up your Samuel Adams Boston Lager like we told you to, you did your homework, get that out, get a nice clean glass, pour it, clean your palate. We'll be back in 3.5 minutes. We'll do our tasting, and then we'll go right into mini mash. We shouldn't have to take too many more breaks after that. Everybody cool?
Cool.
All right. Brewing Network, Samuel Adams tasting, our first commercial tasting coming right up. This is Willie Nelson, Whiskey River.
Whiskey River, take my mind. Don't let her memory torture me. Whiskey River, don't run dry.
All right, we're back. A little abrupt intro there. How about that? Okay, so we got ours poured. Hope you do too. It's your Samuel Adams Boston Lager tasting, and we've got ours, like I said, in a nice glass. You can't do it in the bottle. You're going to need to look at it. I want to start with this. We were just having a quick discussion during the break of what's the closest. I want to read some of the style guidelines, so I'm curious what the closest. I had thought that it would fit, other than the color, under the American lager category somewhere. But Doc is saying maybe not. And JP was thinking so too. What is
I'd say it almost even tastes along the lines of an Oktoberfest. At least this one does. But it's got that kind of cardboardy flavor to it. But it's supposed to be loosely based on a Pilsner. It's got caramel malt in it. They dry hop it. It's Hallertau and
Tettnang, yeah.
And they dry hop it. They mostly 2-row with some caramel.
Yeah. So what category would you put it in, JP? If you were to give it a style guideline, what would they enter it under?
Amber lager.
They would enter it under an amber lager. I mean, so should we read those? Because I'm wondering if we should judge it based on a style like that, to help us and help the listener's palate kind of figure that out. Because I can pull up the amber lager right here.
Yeah, do that.
You think that's that's what they would judge it under right there?
Well, if we're going to put it in what depends on what we're doing here. Are we just tearing it apart, or are we actually, judging it as if it was in a competition?
No, you're gonna just help figure out what tastes we're tasting, which part are which hops, which part of the process maybe you can taste in there. How you can tell if that's 2-row, things like that. Some of the distinct, because Samuel Adams. If nothing else, what I do like about it is it has a distinct flavor that you're not going to find in another beer. And if we can pick out what those flavors are and help the listeners know, that's what we're going to do to improve people's palates. So
we're also going to get a lot of things across the board too. Some of these beers haven't been aged well, been sitting on the floor somewhere.
Right.
So whoever's got them at home, it's going to be a little different than what we have.
This is actually tastes pretty fresh for some of the Sam Adams that I've had.
I'm just talking about anybody else on the East Coast that's maybe drinking with us. It might not be the same thing.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, I've had a lot of Sam Adams with a bottle that's just raisiny and just tastes horrible.
Yep.
This one's not?
No, it's actually pretty good.
I can't find I had it, because I was all ready for American lager.
No.
But it's not. You're saying amber lager, which I don't even see here. Oh, there it is. European amber lager?
I'd probably go with that.
Oktoberfest Marzen or Vienna Lager. Those are the two things under European.
I'd probably go more with it.
It does have an Oktoberfest-y.
Yeah, it does have that Oktoberfest-y kind of thing on the back of my tongue.
But it has a real crisp finish. So I mean,
it does. It's not.
Those are the differences of yeast.
It's not a dark American lager.
That'll be like a.
All right, then we're going to go Oktoberfest Marzen.
Possibly a Vienna,
or a Vienna. That's okay. They're both very similar in the style guidelines, so it's going to be okay.
It's not as malty as
Hey, Jamil, if you want to call and help us out here, buddy, feel free. 888-401-BEER. I hope you got your Sam Adams in front of you, but you've had one anyway, so you could maybe tell us exactly what class you'd put this under. That would help us out.
He's probably drinking tea or something.
888-401-BEER. Okay, so aroma, rich German malt aroma, light moderate toasted malt is often present, clean lager aroma. No fruity esters or diacetyl.
No, there's fruity. I get from the yeast, I think.
You're getting that.
There's some fruit, yeah.
I'm just reading you the style guide.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now, I haven't even tasted it yet.
I'm going to shut my mouth.
I'm reading you the style guide. This says that caramel aroma is inappropriate. So
it's not aroma.
It would do rough.
It's a flavor.
It's a flavor. Okay.
No, there's no. Right. The aroma's not there.
Okay. And a flavor under the guideline is initial malty sweetness, moderately dry finish.
Yep.
By the way, Darth Vader's back in the room again.
Who is that?
I think it's Jason. Hop bitterness is moderate. Noble hop flavor low to none. Balance is toward malt. Finish is not sweet. And noticeable caramel or roasted flavors are inappropriate. Clean lager character with no diacetyl or fruity esters. All right, let's go ahead and just give it a taste, because it's not going to fit under exactly one of these categories, I think, unless Jamil has some insight to that. Color already is definitely lighter than your average American, or darker rather than your average American lager, more toward a pale ale, which I've always thought about Boston Lager, and thought it was interesting that they called it, Boston Lager, but that it looked like looks like a pale ale. Of course, it's not an ale. So you already got that. Carbonation on this particular one is pretty low as far visually. You only seeing a little bit coming up there. I'll give it a little taste here. Get your meal on here too. You there, Jamil?
Yeah.
Hey, buddy, how are you?
What's up, friend?
Great.
Thanks for calling in. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Do you have your Boston Lager with you?
No, I don't. But I've
You've
had it on the East Coast in the brew pubs, and I've had it on the West Coast, and in between and all over.
Cool. So you know your stuff. Doc, you were already complaining about this. Mine's not bad, man.
It's getting better as I'm going down the glass. But my first impression, I just did not like this bottle.
All right. So if you're at home, you're probably already doing it, but go ahead and take your drink. Take your smell.
Smell it.
The aroma, I'm going to tell you, Doc, while it's not as present as yours, it's similar to your Pilsner, and it's those noble hops, I think, that I'm picking up. But
absolutely.
It's same thing? Okay.
You're right.
It's really, the noble hops to me have a very different hop aroma in that they're not as hoppy, for lack of a better word. It's a cleaner.
There's no citrus or pineapple or anything. It's just maybe spicy.
Well, I get a little. Yeah, the spiciness is definitely, that's part of it, I think. You're right. So that's a good way to, if you're an untrained palate wondering what that is, even in the aroma, there's definitely a spiciness in the noble hops. As Doc was saying earlier, there is Hallertau and Tettnang are the hops they use in this. I posted a homebrew recipe that did a dry hop with Cascade as well, and I don't imagine that's part of the original recipe, but it could be. They could have left that out. Jamil, what do you have to say about what class this might be under?
It's similar to, it's kind of a cross between a Pilsner and an Oktoberfest. It's got a little more hops than most of the classic Oktoberfests, but not as much malt either. So it's kind of a tweener beer. The thing I really love about it is it's fairly consistent in my experience across the country.
Yeah.
And you can get it a lot of places, and it actually is a really good beer, and compared to just about anything else you can get. And I think they do a good job with it. The interesting thing about those hops in the United States, when the hop producers get the hops, they rip them right off the vine, and they immediately process them, and they store them frozen, and they're minutes from field to freezer.
Right.
And there's some volatile aromatics that get trapped in there when they freeze them. They do such a good job of it in the U.S. that there's a big difference between the European suppliers and the American suppliers. And the European suppliers, they leave them out for a while, and a lot of those volatiles go off. And certain brewers around the world, when they get American hops, they think it has a stinky American hop aroma, and it's just the American hop producers doing such a good job of protecting those hops.
Keeping all the good stuff.
Right.
So they let it sit out for a couple of weeks, and it gets what's called that European signature, where they feel it's a little more mellow. And so if you're trying to reproduce something like a German lager or something where, even with your noble hops, and you use an American grown variety, you might let it sit out warm for a couple hours before you brew, and let that off gas.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of the compound right now, but
that's a good idea.
I can look it up if you're interested.
I do notice a little bit of a flowery character in the flavor also. And
yeah, I think you're right on the money with the spicy, flowery, and the noble hops, and the similarity between the sauce that Scott used in his classic and the hops that they're using.
I thought the flowery wasn't necessarily part of noble hops.
Sure.
It is. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And it has quite a bit of hop character compared to a lot of other Pilsners.
Right. Doc, you said that they dry hop. Do you know what they dry hop with, or you don't? No. But they do dry hop it also. Yeah.
And this is what I was thinking about this beer, is it's got a lot of characteristics of an Oktoberfest.
Yeah.
And a Pilsner. It's just not as malty as an Oktoberfest, but it's got a really similar flavor profile.
Yeah.
Kind of a tweener.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I wouldn't call it malty, but I would definitely say that it's sweet. It has a sweet flavor in there. So what's that's not malty but sweet? It's the same thing.
Well, it's a matter of degree.
Okay.
You push the malty side of it, and you're pushing away from dry.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be chewy to be malty.
Right. I gotcha. Because to me, it's actually one of the things I don't like about Sam Adams is that I think it tends to be sweet. I mean, if I'm at a bar in the middle of the country and I can't get a good microbrew, I'll grab a Sam Adams, right? But if I'm at a bar that's got something else, I won't, and it's because it's of that sweetness that I think it has in there.
For me, it's that and the carbonation.
That it's not carbonated enough?
No, I think it's a little over-carbonated.
Do you?
Draft, at least.
Okay.
In my opinion.
Now, there's a lot of other Sam Adams brews, too.
Yep.
We chose this one because I think it's the most readily available.
Yeah, it's pretty ubiquitous.
Doc, you just look offended that we made you drink commercial brew. You just sit here like, I can't believe you're making me drink commercial swill.
I buy a lot of commercial swill.
Okay.
Not Sam Adams, but and you know I will if I'm in a bar like you and there's nothing else on tap that I want a chance.
Yeah.
I'll probably go with the Sam Adams.
Okay.
It's gotten me through a lot of airports.
Yeah, exactly. That's what it is. It's the airport thing.
I got you there, too.
And the couple of airports, I think Atlanta has a Sam Adams pub in it. And they have, like a half dozen or 8 different Sam Adams beers on and some good food. And it's, you could do a lot worse.
Okay. Some of the, I took this right off of the Sam Adams site. All 2-row barley that they're using there for their base. They describe it as a wide range of floral, piney, and citrus notes. I'm not sure if I'm getting the piney
or the citrus.
Yeah.
I get the citrus, I guess, in the aroma, like that Jamil was saying. Maybe that's what I'm smelling.
I get the piney in the finish, but I definitely don't get citrus.
Okay, all right. A lingering, smooth finish. It does linger.
Yeah, smooth. I'd say, exactly. It just kind of lays on the back of your tongue with.
I'll give it that. All right. Is there anything else that you guys want to point out specifically about this beer that you're tasting that you can maybe help a listener, figure out where that's coming from? Any part of the malt or? I mean, I
think it's very yeast driven. This brew.
Okay.
I get a lot from the yeast and yeast selection when you're brewing.
The fruity character.
Yeah, and my Oktoberfest tastes a lot like this and the back finish of it, and I really think it's from the yeast.
So aside from, say, citrusy flavors that can come from hops, is it mostly when you're getting fruity flavors out of a beer like this, it mostly coming from the yeast then?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And it can be also from temperature and things, but generally with certain yeasts are going to give different flavor profiles.
Right.
You can push that to the limit by pushing their temperature or stressing the yeast too.
Okay.
But Southern German lager tastes a lot like this.
Okay.
That yeast gives this kind of profile.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. Well, here's what I'm going to do, I think, for future tastings, just as a brief side note. I thought that it would be kind of best to have us come in here and all taste it together, right at once, along with the listener.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking I might have you guys do it beforehand and write some things down, a few notes, so that you're more ready to pick out, just a few of those things.
Yeah, that would be better.
I was kind of experimenting with it, thought that we'd do it all, and I think it's okay. Jamil, I appreciate you calling in and helping.
Sure. Even though you weren't drinking it with us.
Yeah, that's okay. But I do appreciate that, and actually I encourage you anytime you're listening, we're going to do it weekly, so if you're ever just hanging out and listening, please call in during this segment. And I think we'll do that. I think we'll taste it beforehand, too, and get some notes down and then do the listener tasting. And I'm actually going to encourage listeners to do the same. And think about what you're tasting that you don't know what it is. Because I'm trying to ask the questions for you, I think. Mm-hmm. And I have some of them, but I obviously am not in your mouth.
I wish you were. But
yeah. So,
what even might be a good idea is to have the BJCP score sheet, judge sheet.
Right, and just judge it down the list beforehand and have that ready to go.
Well, it's two different things we're trying to do here.
Yeah.
One is trying to teach people what flavors we're tasting, and the other one is trying to judge it as far as the contest goes.
Right. Well, I just wanted it to go, does it meet the style at all? And
no.
But it's hard with Sam Adams, I guess, since it's a middle style there.
It's very tween.
Well, you might pick beers that have extremes of the flavors and then help people pick those out.
Right.
Start to identify those.
I think a difficulty we're just going to have, I'm going to try real hard to do exactly. That's what I wanted to do. One difficulty we're going to run into is availability for the masses. certainly with these extreme beers. But I'm going to try to do that. I'm going to really look around and try to find the best. So for next week, I'm going to post it up real soon, and I suggest everybody go out and buy it early and taste it and write some things down, and we're going to do the same and then talk about it next week. Yep. One interesting thing about this beer, Jamil, I'm not sure if you know anything about this, being a judge, just some things I found from the GABF. Sam Adams has always touted that it won best beer in America, right? And it won it for several years in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And the GABF, because that particular category was shrouded in so much controversy as far as ballot stuffing, and not just for Sam Adams, but dating back to like a battle between Budweiser and Pabst back in the late 1800s, of who Pabst ended up getting the best beer in America. And Budweiser disputed it for a good 2 years. They had voted for 2 subsequent years, and Budweiser was still disputing the one from the original year. And anyway, the category always had so many different controversies about ballot stuffing that they took it right out of the GABF, which I just thought was an interesting thing. And I even said that Sam Adams might have done some ballot stuffing as far as becoming the best beer in America. But I kind of like the category. It's like best of show, right?
Well, they used to have like women in bikinis and stuff.
Oh, is that right?
Vote, yeah.
That's awesome. That's funny. I used to do Battle of the Bands when I was in bands, and I would always get dancers. I'd go find all the hot chicks I could and say, hey, just dance to our song. Like routines, like real like cheerleaders dancing in front. I'd win every time I did that. Every time. That's smart of the brewers to do that. I just thought it was an interesting side note about Sam Adams that they, that's still one of their big claims to fame. Best beer and voted best beer in America. But it was back in the 80s, and it shrouded in controversy.
Was it they won 1 year, and now there's...
No, they won several years. So I don't know how many exactly, but they did win over several years in the 80s, just before the microbrew boom, I'm assuming. Okay. And
well, they did help the whole microbrew.
Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
I think you might want to scratch Sam Adams off your guest list.
Actually, I was just going to follow up with, I don't have bad things to say about Sam Adams. I still do consider them a microbrew. I think one of the biggest differences about Sam Adams and say, I don't know, I want to say a lesser microbrew than Sierra Nevada. Sam Adams chose to spend their advertising dollars on television ads. Your average microbrew, in fact, I can't really name many at all, that spent any of their advertising dollars on television ads. And as soon as you start seeing something on television, you stop Pete's. There you go. But they're a microbrew as well. Mm-hmm. But as soon as you see something on TV, you stop thinking of it as small. I mean, imagine if on primetime television you started seeing Brewing Network commercials. Really well done Brewing Network commercials,
with
right?
chicks in bikinis.
With chicks in bikinis and Dr. Scott in front of a professional microphone with like a full, brewery behind him, right? You'd stop thinking of us as the idiots that we are until you listened, of course. But for that,
those big brewers like Sam Adams, the big brewers don't tend to support the homebrew industry very, very much, but Sam Adams does, and they take out ads in the homebrew magazines and stuff like that. So,
right,
going to mention
you got to give props for that.
Yeah,
they sponsor the Ninkasi every year.
There you go,
the Nationals.
That's right.
Yeah, they're
Jamil's very familiar with it.
They got their
yeah.
They understand where the value of homebrewers, and they have still have that mentality, which is great.
Mm-hmm. I like them. I'm hoping to get them on the show. I'm not saying that because I want them on the show. I do like Sam Adams, and I think that they've stuck to some pretty lofty principles in the brewing industry.
Well, they've done a lot for the industry. They've done a lot to get better beer out there.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff.
How many mega brewers are making a 25% alcohol beer?
No.
That seems pretty craft brew to me.
Yeah. Hey, I got a question from the chat room, a little controversy. I can interrupt here. They're wondering if we should have gotten Sam Adams' permission to do a public tasting.
Ooh.
I actually thought about it during the week.
I guess we'd have to be making money on it to do that.
Well, I wanted to actually write them and say, hey, like it or not, we're going to taste your beer on the air on Sunday. We got lots of people tuned in, and if you'd like to give some input, do it. But then I did think of the other thing that I might not want to draw too much attention until I'm sure that all of this is kosher, that we're allowed to do all these commercial tasting. Because what we're doing is advertising. It's basically using the name. That's the problem, not tasting the beer. If I could have said, rhymed the name of the beer with something, then I know for sure it's totally legal, right?
A beer from Boston.
Yeah, we're going to taste a very
Boston
popular
lager beer.
Exactly. So until I find out, I won't be able to invite commercial brewers to participate. But I will if as soon as I find out it's legal.
I want to get some monks in here.
They don't talk. That's bad radio. All right, hey Jamil, thanks again for calling in.
All right.
We'll talk to you later.
See you, Jamil.
All right, there you go. So that's our first commercial tasting, and not bad. I think it was a good choice to start with moderate. And Jamil's right. We're going to go for some extreme ones. I just got to find them that everyone can find them at their local shop. I don't want you guys to be missing out, so we'll try to do that. All right, mini mash. Everybody good with that? I got a couple.
I forgot all about that.
Yeah, we got to get into the mini mash show. And are these questions over here that are still from the tasting?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it tastes minerally, the Sam Adams?
Yes, I do.
You do? You get that mineral taste in there?
Yes.
Okay.
And that could just be from where they got the water. I don't know if they're doing water treatment. Most of the big guys don't. They just filter it and take it off the tap.
Right.
But probably that's going to be from wherever the water came in. And I did get that.
Okay. And this other one was wanting us to identify the flavors, not just fit the style, but I hope that was old because we ended up doing the flavors, right? Okay. Good. And this one's too long for me to read right now, so let's go right into mini mash.
He's only a caveman.
That's right. Well, if you want 45 seconds of silence while I decipher Daniela's hieroglyphics, I could do that, but otherwise...
Well, that's not for the tasting anyway. It's a very interesting question, though.
For mini mash?
If somebody needs help with his beer and needs help with improvement of his beer.
Okay.
So whenever you get a chance...
That's why we're here.
Yeah. Well, we'll do this mini mash, and then I'll have a chance to read it at the break, and so we can answer it.
Sounds great.
All right, very good. Okay, couple of things to do with mini mash, and some things I saw on the forum this week about it.
Mini mash,
also known as partial mash, if you want to call it that.
Mini
whatever.
Mash.
Yeah, I like mini mash.
Mini mash.
Let me go back to Daniela's beer now, by the way.
Thank you, Justin. So good.
Okay, some of the issues raised about mini mash. Was certainly why would you do mini mash, and I thought that's a good place to start. Why do a partial mash?
I think it's a great step up.
Oh wait, before you get to that, Doc, I want your answer that you always give me when I say why the hell would you do that?
Because you can.
Yeah, I actually put that in my notes today because it always kind of catches me off guard. I'm looking for this long answer, and I asked Doc, why the hell would you do that particular part of the process when you don't have to? And his answer is always, he gives me a better one afterward. But first, because you can, dude.
You can.
So, that's definitely a reason why you should partial mash, because, in speaking directly to extract brewers, you can, with pretty much the equipment that you have right there already.
You'll have to, gather some of your wife's pots and pans, but
other than that, you can do it without having to go spend virtually any money. Maybe a mesh bag, but there's ways to do it even without that.
You can do it with a colander.
A colander, too. You can do that. So there you go. So first thing, and then go ahead, Doc. You wanted to get into the other reasons why you would partial mash.
I thought it was just a given, because you can. Mainly, it's just a good stepping stone. A lot of people are kind of reluctant to go right to all grain because of the equipment, the expense of everything, the time, and just it's more complicated. But with a mini mash, you can really augment and make your extract beers a lot better.
Yeah.
It's really not that much more trouble. Because while you're doing other stuff, it's sitting in the oven mashing.
Yeah.
And you got to strain it, and that's about it. But you can use the spaghetti pot, not even a big one.
Yeah.
And it fits in the oven. It's great.
Yeah. And I agree with that as far as the control, especially if you're going to start doing some things with adjuncts and things like that. You can be putting them in your mash and add some extra flavors, which is cool. And it's a good, easy way to start controlling. And the other thing that I think is that it's really a good introduction to all grain in the sense that you're not as likely to screw it up. Like there's in all grain, it's really just kind of a bigger version of the same thing, but you got to control a lot more, and you got to have the equipment that can control those temperatures and control your sparge and really get all those things right.
It all comes from the all grain. Everything comes from you screw it up. You're done.
That's right.
With the mini mash, you only screw it up half of it.
Half of it, exactly. So you're still looking at 5 gallons of drinkable beer among your drunken friends anyway.
Yeah. So you can still pull it off.
You can experiment and not have spent the money, And the other thing is, I don't know. I don't know if everybody is all about all grain either. I know that if you're really into brewing and you have all the time to do it, it's obviously the way to go and it's the most fun. You know, you have all that control. But some people are just as happy to do extract because they are short on time, but they still want to brew their own beer. And mini mash is a way to take the next step without taking the next step. You know, you don't go spend all the money and then decide I don't really want to do that. I don't want to spend all that time mashing. I'd rather just go back to my extract. So good way to do that with mini mash. I think that these are kind of stating the obvious, but there actually were questions in the forum. In fact, one of them says, and this has to do, I think we could probably do this first before going further because it could lead us into it. This forum post said, why partial mash? If you're willing to do the extra work to do a partial mash, you can do a full mash. The only difference between partial and full is 30 minutes. You might say cost, but I disagree. A bucket and a grain bag are about $15. If you follow Lufa's link, which is something that was on the forum, you can look at that. To do a batch sparge, you can set up a cooler and a ball valve for about $25. When you take into account that grain is cheaper than extract, you could do a full wort. Why would you ever do a partial mash? And my answer to that first is that even spending $25, $15 here, you don't have to go buy another bucket. I use the same bucket I ever did. I actually use my sanitation bucket for my mash because I don't need to sanitize anything at that time while I'm doing the partial mash. So you don't have to buy any other stuff. You can step right up. Maybe, and like Doc said, you can use a colander. If you don't want to use a colander, you got to buy a $5 nylon bag. And I'll describe how I use that in my process a little bit later. So, and the other reasons that I said too, I think you might not want to just jump right into all grain. You might want to try it out and see if you're,
It scares a lot of people.
It's a little daunting, Oh, I got to do all grain, and it's going to take me 2 days to do it.
Yeah.
I think it's a good way to get into it, and you will see a lot of difference in your beer.
Yeah.
Also, you get to test some of these new. Or some of the ingredients that you've never tried before that you can't do.
Yeah.
And I think he's right that you can build an all grain system fairly cheap, but you're not really going to have all of that great control over the all grain system that you would by spending a lot of the money on the other things, or at least if you're not savvy enough to really build the stuff you need to control it. So I think that the potential for putting together a $25 all grain system and not really getting your full potential out of an all grain is much higher than doing a mini mash and coming up with a great beer because it's just a little bit above what you've already been doing.
The time thing is a whole lot different too. With a mini mash, you can be mashing while you're waiting for your water to boil.
Yeah.
And doing an all grain it will take a lot longer for your brew day.
It's just training wheels essentially
that's a good way to put it.
Boil for a full mash because it I don't know. It like I mentioned earlier, I've only done it 3 times. That's all it took for me to realize that going all grain is so much. It's just going to give it better control, more. All the positives that come with all grain.
Right.
There's no reason not to.
I haven't done it in so long,
but I wouldn't have known to do that if I had no idea what a partial mash was. I would still be doing extract with.
I was actually when I was doing a partial mash, it was because I was still doing it in the kitchen.
Okay,
and I could.
Yeah. Same with me, and that's why I'm doing it now. I kind of just did it because I can. I mean, my extracts were cool too, but I wanted to try, messing with the grains and the temperatures.
It's different. I mean, even the smell was different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sure.
And it was good.
Yeah.
Anyway, just give it a go because it's cheap and you got the stuff sitting there, long story short.
And we told you to.
Yeah. Okay. Now I'm going to go into equipment here, the equipment that's needed, and I'm going to tell you what I use, and I'm going to briefly, mention a couple of other things that other people use. I couldn't possibly mention all the ways to do mini mash because it's really an easy thing to develop your own way to do it. It's basically when we get to the process that you'll figure that out.
Yeah, it's the process that's important.
Yeah,
and the way you do it, there's a lot of ways.
You can figure that out yourself. What I use my sanitation bucket because I already had it, and it's a nice 5-gallon bucket, and like I said, I don't need to be sanitizing anything at that point in time, so I don't need to put sanitizer in that. I get another small bucket, like my car wash bucket or whatever, to put a little sanitizer in for any small things I need to do. So I got my sanitizer bucket, and I bought a large nylon mesh bag. And I don't even know what size that thing is, JP.
24 by 24 is usually...
Okay.
Because you're going to have 6 pounds of grain, so you need
Right.
a pretty decent size.
Okay. And so those are the two things. All I added was that mesh bag. That's all I added to my system. So $5 mesh bag. Maybe it was $7. I probably stole it anyway.
I'm sure someone slid it across the counter.
Yeah, I probably shoved it in my pocket when John wasn't looking. Okay. So that's as far as equipment. There are other ways you can do it. Some people go out and buy those 5-gallon orange igloo coolers, which I think is a good idea because it's going to retain temperature, and it is going to be sitting out for 30 minutes. I'll talk to you about that when we get to our process. But that's a good way to do it too. I actually like that, and they've got a spout on the bottom. You don't have to put on a ball valve. You don't have to do all that. You can use the regular spout that's right on an igloo. I'll tell you how to put a stopper right in front of it just by using your stir spoon behind the nylon bag, and you don't need to put in a big ball valve or anything else. So the igloo is a good idea if you're concerned about really keeping the 150 degree temperature, occasionally other temperatures, but we'll talk about that later. And then other people, they just throw it all right into a kettle. I talked to a home brewer at the NorCal Fest that we were at. I talked about this a couple weeks ago too, where you can actually take your brew kettle, say, and put your grains in there and keep it in the oven so that you mark it at 150 degrees and you're positive that it stays there for the whole 30 minutes. And that's a good way to do it too. And then you could just dump it right through a colander, like Doc says, to get your water out and your malt out rather, and your grains in. You know.
What I used to do is I used to have the water boiling or heating for, the beer for the extract, and I would go grab this big spaghetti pot.
Yeah.
And I would put the grain in that and put that in the oven. And all you need the oven at is just whatever warm is. It doesn't have to be at 150. It could be at 130, 140. It just keeps it from losing the heat that much faster. It's only going to be in there 30 minutes or 40 minutes, and it'll be fine. If it's sitting out on the outside, it's going to drop temperature really fast.
Doc, what did I just take a drink of?
That's my strong dark Belgian.
Man, that is a strong dark Belgian.
That's about a 12%.
That changed the tone in your voice, too.
That's a strong dark Belgian will do that to you.
It was very good. Thank you.
That's about a 12% beer.
I love strong dark Belgians. It's a good beer, Doc.
Yeah.
Thanks.
That is strong. What's the ABV on that bad boy?
About 12.
Okay, not quite as strong as I thought, actually.
Yeah, I did. That's what I shot for, but it could be more. But it's smooth.
Good beer. Sorry, I just took a drink of that while Doc was talking. I about jumped out of my chair. Okay. I want to skip recipe formulation for a second and go to process, because I think we can do formulation after that.
Okay.
Actually, before I do that, real quick, a question from the chat room. Is partial mash different from extract with specialty grains? The answer is yes. And why don't you guys talk about what the difference between those two is?
Specialty grains, you're trying to add flavor, and the grains have already been mashed, basically, in their little husks before they've even started. So all you have to do is steep them to leach the sugar in and the flavors out of them. But you can't do that with just straight 2-row. You have to put them at 150 degrees to change the starches into sugars. And so what you're trying to do with a mini mash is get some of your fermentables out of the mash and basically make up the rest of it with some extract. So you're cutting out maybe half your extract, and you're making up for that by doing your mini mash.
Yeah.
And instead of just adding flavor grains and steeping, that's not what you're going to be doing. You want to have fermentables, and you're going to need 2-row or 6-row to get that.
Gotcha.
And you can't do that with just steeping it. It won't work. No.
Not enough time
it won't work.
Yeah.
So you won't get the fermentables out of it.
Okay.
So the whole idea with mini mashing is to try to cut out some of that extract, which will cut out some of that extract flavor you get in your extract beers, and it will make a big difference.
Yeah, that's a good thing.
It can be a third of your fermentables. It can be half your fermentables. Whatever you want to do.
Okay. All right, that's going to help later in recipe formulation, actually, because you can decide on that. But you are actually dealing with the gravity of your beer here. You're dealing with it with the fermentables. Whereas steeping grains, you're getting some color and you're getting some flavors,
caramels and flavors.
Yeah. But you're not getting fermentables out of that. So
you're getting a little bit, but that's not the whole idea. You're not getting. It's not your base sugars.
Okay.
Out of that.
All right, very good. I'm going to go over with you my process. Okay. And the two of you, John and Dr. Scott, John.
What was that?
Jason.
Oh. Jay.
Damn it. Sorry, buddy.
I will reach over the console. I don't care if I go to jail.
Yeah.
John usually sits over there. So.
I know, it's all.
But it's still that annoying voice, right?
That's the same thing. That's why I got confused. You guys chime in anytime you want. And also, if any of you are brewing mini mash at home and you got something to say, I'm happy to hear it, even if you...
There's a lot of ways to do it.
That's right. So I'm just giving you my process, and because it's a simple one, and it's working for me so far, but I'm happy to take some interludes, and the phone's ringing already. I'm afraid to even start my process. The phone is already ringing.
My process is, let's go to line 1.
Yeah. Okay. Here's what I do. Danielle is taking that call. So my process is, like I said, it's fairly simple. I put the water right in my brew kettle. Here's what I do to measure my water, as far as how much I'm supposed to do. I've kind of gotten to know how much extract added to my water gets the water to the top of the kettle.
How much volume?
So how much volume, right? So what I'm doing is I'm putting enough water in my kettle so that I'm getting that water back into my kettle, right? About that amount, and then still adding the rest of my extract, because you're looking at anywhere from 3 to 6 pounds of extract still, and then get to the top of my thing. So that's my measurement. It's a very crude form of measurement, but I don't think it matters too much, right? How much?
You know your system.
Yeah.
So that's so much talk about knowing your own system and what works.
So it's getting to know, because you put too much water in that thing, and then you're going to get all your water back out of your grains, and you go to dump your extract in, and you're not going to be able to fit it all in there. So you're going to need to kind of play with that. You're probably going to put a little, too little water in the first time you do it, like I did, and you'll have to add a little bit after your extract. But no big deal. No big deal. So I heat the water in my kettle to 160 degrees, and the reason I put it up to 160 is because I know that I'm going to lose some temperature by the time I transfer it over to my bucket that I'm going to do my mash in, and I know where I want my temperature to be, which in the case of the pale ale that I did this week, I wanted my temperature to be at 150 for the 30 minutes. So I get it up to 160, and then I pour it into the bucket. By the time I pour it into the bucket, it's only lost a couple of degrees actually. It's maybe down to 158. I then put the mesh bag in there. I get that all ready. And I go ahead and I just let it sit till I get down to about 154, because I figured out that by the time I add my grains in there, I'm losing about 3 degrees usually. I usually end up at about 151 there.
You will lose temperature based on what your grain is. Yeah, definitely.
Although I was surprised at how little temperature I do lose. 3 degrees to me didn't seem like, I expected to lose a lot more. I expected from the time, if I boiled it to 160, if I heated it up to 160, by the time I got my grains in, I thought I'd be below 150, but that wasn't the case. It really lost only a little bit at a time.
Are you using
go ahead.
Your total brew water in with your grains?
Yes. Meaning...
you're basically a very thin mash.
I'm not sure I know what you're getting.
Well, it has to do with how much grain you put in.
Yeah.
You should know how much water you put in, because it actually has a lot to do with how thick the mash is.
Okay.
Do you want oatmeal, or do you want, wonton soup?
Yeah, that's what I was saying in the beginning. I don't calculate based on any of those things. I calculate by the volume of my boil.
Okay.
That's the only calculation I did, right? And that's the only one I can do doing a partial boil, because I gotta, you know what I mean? I gotta add to get my boil as much as I can anyway, right? Okay. So in my particular case, I'm not doing a full boil. In fact, a point about the guy's question, about why do partial mash is if you can do a full boil, you should do all grain. Well, not all of us can do a full boil. I only got a 5-gallon kettle. So.
Even though you still, it's a lot more work and a lot more time to do an all grain, all grain.
So, all right. So I get my water in there, and I let it get down to about 154. It's in the bucket. I got my mesh bag in the bucket, and then I slowly pour the grain in when I reach 154 degrees, and I'm stirring that water as I'm doing it, just to make sure everything's going to get wet and kind of move around in there a little bit. By the time I'm done putting my grain in, which takes about a minute and a half just to get it all dumped and stirred in there, and I had in this particular batch 5 pounds of grain. It looks like. 4.5, 5 pounds of grain altogether, and then 5 pounds of extract after that. So once I got that all in there, I was sitting right at 151. And then you just let that sucker sit for 30 minutes. You go do nothing. I don't care what you do. I don't know what you do on your own time. Go do it. You know what I'm saying?
It's your life.
It's your life, man. Just go do it. I let it sit for 30 minutes. I took a ride on my motorcycle is what I did. Why not, right?
Ballsy moved.
I was surprised to find that when I came back, I was just barely under 150 degrees after 30 minutes. It did not lose much temperature at all sitting in that bucket. In that B3 plastic bucket, Jason. So you know.
I figured.
I was at like 149 when I got back after 30 minutes. It was right there. So I pretty much stayed at right around 150 for the whole 30 minutes. Now, here's a suggestion that John gave me that worked real well. If when you put your grains in, you're still a good amount above 150, even if you're 3 degrees above 150, that can be a lot in a mash.
Yeah.
And this is good to learn when you're doing mini mash, because it's really going to matter when you're doing all grain. You can do a easy recirculation. My bucket that I use has the spout at the bottom, and I was pouring it out into a pitcher and dumping it back on top, and pouring it out into a pitcher and dumping it back on top. And what's important, at least according to what John told me, is that first 5 minutes or so of your mash there, 5-6 minutes, is really important about what you're getting out of your grains. You don't want to burn them. Not burn them, but you don't want to be too hot, and you certainly don't want to be too cold. So do it quick. Put your grains in and check your temperature, and if you're over, just do a quick recirculation. You open that spout, put it in a pitcher, dump it back on top. And I got down to my that 151. I got down there real quick. It only took about 3 recircs like that, just 3 pitchers full of that, and dumping it right back on top. So just a quick way to get your temperature right. Let it sit for 30 minutes. Drain that sucker out to the kettle. That's it.
I usually would keep a quart of cold water right next to it.
Oh, just put that in to cool it?
Yeah, I just throw that in there and stir.
There you go.
If you're low, it's not as bad. If you're high, you can denature the proteins.
Okay.
And the enzymes. And
what temperature, though? Because I don't want to freak anyone out who's trying to do this. Go, well, I'm at 150 or I'm at 153, and everyone said 150. I'm going to freak out.
No. If you
you're talking like 158, 160.
158, 159, and if your thermometer's off 2 degrees, you could be at 160, and all of a sudden you got no extraction off of this thing. You're not getting any sugars because you killed all your your enzymes.
Okay.
But if you're at 150, you want shooting for 150, and you're at 152, don't freak out.
You're cool.
It.
Okay.
Don't freak out. But if you're at 156, cool it down real quick.
That's good to know. I was at 153, and I was recircling.
No.
I would say 148 to 154. Leave it alone.
Okay.
Especially if it's your first time.
Okay.
Yeah. But if you dump it in there, let's say you're off and you're at 158.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do?
Cold water.
Yeah, I would throw in a quart of cold water and stir it.
Okay. Fine. Cool. Good advice.
Just
right
have it there. Don't go looking for it.
Yeah.
And sometimes I've used it. Sometimes I haven't.
Yeah.
It's just, okay, it's right there. I can just dump it right in there.
Okay.
Stir it around.
Okay.
Because if you're recircling that hot stuff, you know what's going on your skin.
Yeah, that's right.
It's going on your skin.
Going back to what Scott asked you, though. So you don't sparge. You're doing a no sparge kind of.
I'm just leaving it sit there for 30 minutes, and then I dump it out.
And then you just put it right in your boil kettle.
Yep.
Do a partial boil.
Yeah,
and
so you're basically doing a batch sparge.
Yeah.
You don't even rinse, you don't even rinse the grains.
As in, I should take the water out and then put it back on top of the grains again and take it out again.
No, you need fresh water on top.
You need fresh water back on top.
That's a different way.
Yeah, if I would guess that I would do that if I could do a full boil.
Well,
in a partial mash.
Also, what you could do is figure out you're probably doing too thin of a mash.
Okay.
You want to have. I usually like to shoot for 1.33 quarts per gallon.
All right.
Or quarts per pound.
That means I have to measure shit.
That's not that hard. Just figure how many pounds you got. You got 5 pounds.
Yeah.
And,
times
1.33, and it's about 7 gallons.
Okay.
Or 7 quarts.
7 quarts, yeah.
And then that's all you put in. It makes a thick porridge, and the enzymes like it a little bit.
Never mind the bucket's graduated, though.
Right.
And then, so you get that in there.
Yeah, well, there's that.
Yeah.
And then that'll give you, then what you can do, then you strip that down, you take that off the grain, and you pour some more hot water on top of the grains.
Okay.
Fresh hot water, fresh clean hot water, and then put that in your boil kettle too, and you'll get a lot more out of your mash.
Because what you're
does that fresh hot water have to be exactly 150, or can I? No, I can do my hot water from my sink. You're saying
you want to do it a little higher than that.
You want to be, but not over 170.
Yeah. Not over 170.
Because that's going to help dissolve. Because what you're leaving in behind is a lot of sugar.
Maybe
not a lot of sugar.
But
it's stuck in the grains.
Sugar,
I thought about
color,
that actually. I really did. I just didn't know what to do about it.
It'll be more efficient if you do it that way. So put less in to begin with.
Okay.
Make a thicker porridge. Drain that out. Put it in your boil kettle. Put some 170-degree water on top of that. Let it set.
Yeah.
And stir it maybe. Let it set, and then drain that out. Put that in the boil kettle.
Not for another 30 minutes.
No.
Just enough to.
Because you're not mashing. All you're doing is trying to get the grains
just pulling it out of there.
Get the sugars to mix into the solution. Then you can drain that solution. You get a lot more out of it. Then.
All right, that I like. Then I can get my gravities a lot closer to what they're supposed to be. Okay. All right.
Because you're leaving a lot in the grain.
Yeah.
How off were you?
I actually wasn't that off. I'm pretty damn close.
Okay.
He's off.
No. Since I started doing mini mash, I've been closer than I ever was before doing mini mash, which I think is very weird. I thought I'd be much closer with the extract. I'm a lot closer in mini mash. Dude, look at anything that comes out good with my beer is such a fluke. It's unbelievable. And this is one of those.
Full moon the other night.
This is one of those flukes. I've had one bad batch. I think I've had not great batches, but I had one bad batch, and when they come out really good, it's friggin' fluke. Okay. Anyway. Drain it to your kettle. I'm going to give you a really dummy's guide to draining it. You maybe already know this, but I didn't because I need a dummy's guide. If you just open up your spout, your mesh bag and all those grains they're gonna clog up your spout. So just take your stir spoon, a little concave stir spoon, and put it in front of the spout, in between the grain bag and the spout, and it'll dump right out. You'll never get clogged. So just stick that sucker right in there. If you're using a colander, don't worry about it.
It's a good idea.
Yeah, you just stuck it right in. I don't even have to hold it up. I put it there and I leave it.
Did you think of that yourself?
No. What are you, nuts?
It's a good idea.
I can't remember the last time I thought of anything myself.
An original thought.
Yeah. So, hey, that's my process, man. After that, I start heating that stuff up, get it to a boil, turn off the heat, dump my extract in, do the rest of your brew process. You guys know that.
That's pretty solid. That's pretty solid, dude.
Yeah?
And, the fact is you're very excited about it, so it must work for you.
I do. I like it because it gives me just like you always say, Doc, and I laugh at you for it. It gives me something else to do. I like having something else to do. It does extend my brew day. I'm not going to lie. I take a good amount of time, partly because I'm slow, and the other part because it is an extra process. You got to heat up that water. You got to wait 30 minutes.
Some extra time. You brewed from 3:30 to like 2 in the morning, 1 in the morning.
Yeah,
it extended my brew day a little bit.
There's all grain brewers who do it in like half the time.
No, but it's good to see him doing that. I really like seeing him doing that actually because it's like a celebration of him. It's really like a holy thing he does, and this is where it's going to come out good. So I think that's what you want to do. Beer is a holy thing, so he does it just right.
I don't know what that means, but I agree.
What? I'm not making sense?
I mean, you better pray to God that it comes out drinkable.
That's true.
You wear a monk robe?
So here's what I want to talk about, and I have a couple questions from the chat room concerning this too.
Shoot from the hip.
And it's about recipe formulation, because now we're dealing with two parts of making our extract, our fermentables. You got, half of it coming from, or not half, coming from your grains, and then the rest coming from your extract, just like you're used to. And this poses a problem now in creating a recipe if you've not done all grain, or any grain, because you don't know what you're going to get out of there, and it's tough to reach your gravities now. So, when converting the recipe, how would you change the amount of specialty grains and what you convert and then figure out your extract? And this part, although I've done it, I don't know because I always go to the shop and have Johnny help me out and figure out how much grains I need.
Well, that's why you're not.
That's why I'm not learning.
Yeah. Personally, what I tell people, first of all, you don't change your specialty grains. Your specialty.
No, it's all going into the whole thing. So.
Okay,
but the rule of thumb that we kind of do at the shop, and I learned just from being around Olin and such, is generally in our recipes we try to shoot for 6 pounds total grain. So if you have 1.5 pounds of specialty, you need to make up the rest with 2-row or your Pilsner or whatever you're doing, your base malt, right?
Okay.
And then everything else you make up with extract.
6 pounds of grain in partial mash.
Yeah.
All right. How much is it? How much is an all grain batch? How many pounds of grain you talking there? Roughly, in
12.
general. 12. Okay, so it's half. It's right around. Okay.
It says it's a good thing to shoot for is half of your fermentables.
Okay.
Is that.
Now, if you didn't have specialty grains, you would go 6 pounds of 2-row or something, or you'd then cut it down.
If you didn't have specialty grains and you're doing like 12 pounds of 2-row,
yeah,
I would pull out 6 pounds of just straight 2-row, I guess, to mash, and then probably 8 pounds of extract just to make up for because it's really not I had a brain fart. Efficient. There we go. Mm-hmm. It's really not super efficient to do a partial mash because you're doing it so quick and it's just kind of a foray.
And if you're not rinsing or sparging like you're not sparging, you're losing a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So you would have to add more extract into it.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And it's it's not a direct correlation. 1 pound of extract does not equal 1 pound of grain.
Right.
So you need to make it up. I just go 1 to 2. 1 pound of extract
to
maybe
2 pounds
1.5 2 pounds of grain. Yeah.
Okay. Well, here's my recipe. Ended up like this. It's a pale ale that I did. We were talking about it earlier. I used 5 pounds of ultralight extract, and then I ended up with 5 pounds of grain too.
That's fine.
So 10 pounds of malt basically in the end, right? So, and I was going, trying to brew at least close to style, right, Doc? As close as I'm going to
get. What were you shooting for original gravity?
I don't know. I ended up with 1055.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. I told you I was close, right?
I think he's shooting for whatever he ends up with.
Yeah, that's what I'm shooting for, exactly. I don't know. Don't ask me questions like that, man. Here's what I changed. You guys want my recipe?
Yes.
Just for the heck of it, I can post it on the forum later. You laughing at?
He'll be the first post.
I want to see your recipe, Justin.
Thank you, Dan.
Not in here.
Damn you, Dr. Scott.
Like I said, he got that.
No, it was the posting. we got into all that crap before about posting recipes.
Yeah.
Vinny and stuff.
I'm keeping my recipe. 5 pounds of ultralight. That's your extract, and then in the grains for my mini mash, I got 4 1/4 pounds of 2-row.
Dude, round. 4 or 4.
I did. I had it at I punched it into this, and I went to Beer Tools and used their calculator. Yeah. I don't have a Pro Mash, although I'm going to get it, I think, this week. They had me at 4.37. Yeah. So I did round it to 4.25.
But, 0.25 a pound of 2-row isn't going to do anything.
4 would have been just fine.
4.5. Screw it.
Yeah, I've scaled. I've taken recipes and scaled them up in Pro Mash and just sent them over to the shop to have. And I didn't even look at them. It's 4.32 pounds.
Yeah.
Do you really want 4.32? No, just round it up.
Yeah.
Hey, we all laugh at you.
I was, yeah.
Because you don't know if I'm serious or not.
I meant business. I had John back there. I was like, no, I want 4.25 pounds.
Well, he does. Oh, never mind.
Yeah. Never mind. So 4 1/4 pounds, half a pound, that's 2-row, half a pound of Crystal 40, and a 1/4 pound of Carapils. Is a 1/4 pound of Carapils alright, or should I go on half a pound with that?
Yeah, I would. It doesn't matter. What did you even make? Well, with Carapils, it's more flavor.
It's all body mostly. But
it's not.
And
it's not.
Your extract's going to give you a lot of body too.
What do you mean? What did I make? I made ginger ale.
Ginger ale? Sweet. Well, then in that case, I would have gone a half pound. What did you try to make?
Pale ale.
Okay.
What did you make?
I'm hoping pale ale. All right. Now, here's the good part. Here's the interesting part about me when we get to my hop bill. Because this was hard for me, man. The one that I brewed the last time, I did 2 pounds, yeah. 2 ounces, rather, of Galena as my bittering. An ounce, I think, of Cascade at 15 minutes and an ounce of Cascade at 1 minute.
What about the Galena?
I did 2 ounces at 60 minutes. At 60 minutes.
That's pretty.
And you tasted that beer.
Yeah,
that's why that was all bitter and light bodied.
Same malt bill?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Yeah, same malt bill.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing is you need to balance. I mean, you can use all that, but up your base. Oh, you know then. Okay.
Well, I know because
you know now
because we tasted on the air. And
right.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Not that I don't need to hear it again, but
I know.
But here's what I did. Okay, so this time, I'm telling you, this was difficult for me. Not in theory, because in writing, I'm like, okay, that sounds good, because I want it to be nicer.
Put the hops down, Justin, and walk away.
I know. I'm just this hop fiend. I can't do it. Okay, so I went down to a half ounce of Galena. From 2 ounces, I went down to a half ounce of Galena. Mm-hmm. It's 11.8% AAs there, so 60-minute boil.
Yeah.
Half an ounce. This is what was hard for me. Was the half an ounce of Amarillo for 15 minutes and half an ounce for 1 minute. So
that's a good
total of 1.5 ounces, which is like I've never ever gotten past the bittering with less than 2 ounces or something. And the problem to me, in theory, it looks fine. It's when I actually. When I go buy bags of hops, say, and I buy a 2 ounce bag and I only need 1 ounce.
You can't have any left, right?
Well, no, this is just the other thing that I changed. I really tried this time to focus. I'll dump half that bag in and look at it and go, yep, that looks like half. And then I'll dump the other half in later, right? Like, I don't measure half an ounce, or an ounce. This time, I busted out the scale.
With high alpha hops.
It matters.
That matters.
Yeah.
And one or two of those little pellets matters.
And I was talking to John about that, and so I decided I'm doing everything. If I'm going to cut down my hops and not feel good about it, I'm at least going to measure them when I cut them down. So I busted out the scale, and I pour out my half ounce of Galena to do the bittering, right? And I'm looking at the 13 or 14 pellets that are right there in front of me and going, come on, that can't be right. That's nothing. That's weak. It's nothing. And I really had to force myself to not add more. I had to go.
You had them there.
I had them there. I had to go. Just trust the recipe. Trust John. Just do it. Just put in the half ounce. You've never done it before, so I did. I put in the half ounce, and I did the same with the Amarillo. And the Amarillos are what killed me because man, do I love Amarillo and what they do to beer. Same thing. 13 or 14 pellets or whatever the heck it was, and I was crying about it, but I dumped them in. That's all I used. So 1.5 ounces total hops, and let it go. So what do you think? Am I and then I finished out at my OG there 1055. I used Cal Ale, of course. Right now I'm fermenting at between 68 and 69. It's right about there.
You said 69.
And hoping for the best. I did forget to get Werflock. So
well, then you're fucked.
Yeah, it's over.
I might as well dump
Throw it out, man.
I actually called John. I was like, John, what am I gonna do? I got no Werflock. He's like, man, don't worry about it. We'll put some gelatin in later if you want. So
buy a filter, man.
I think we're gonna do that.
Do gelatin.
If you don't know, Werflock's just that clarifier, and you can do this. What's the gelatin deal that I can do at the end that does the same thing?
Yeah, you mix up some unflavored gelatin and put it in your keg.
Oh, so after
you can put it in the secondary. Yeah, after it's all done, put it in the secondary or the keg. Heat it up, but don't boil it because you don't want Jello beer.
Oh yeah.
And you get it just enough so it dissolves.
Yeah.
And put that in the beer, and it will actually congeal a lot of the proteins and make them drop out. You will get a lot clearer beer with it.
Okay. All right. So that's how you can clarify your beer. That's how I'm going to clarify mine.
I used to do that constantly.
All right.
Don't if you don't want to.
Or it doesn't have to. He was telling me that Morgan from EJ Fair never uses Werflock or anything like that.
No, because they're going to filter.
They're going to filter it. You don't need it.
But
right?
I just recently started filtering my beer just because.
Because the rest of us do.
Yeah, basically, yeah, and I had to learn the thing, but a lot of people go, well, I'm worried I can't filter my beer. Don't worry about it unless you're going to enter it in competition. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Or you're serving it to people that don't know about homebrew because. Yeah, they just don't want to drink something that's a little cloudy.
No, it's my unfiltered.
Well, this Belgian, look how clear that is, and I didn't use Werflock in there, but I didn't filter that.
Daniela, what's with these novel questions you're sending me all day? It's like I'm reading the encyclopedia over here.
She's a printer. Just get her a printer.
People have advanced questions here.
Good, I like it, but you're going to have to read them.
Give her a printer.
No. Read that, please.
I don't even know her.
Well, that's
questions from the chat room here.
That's something now, though, that has nothing to do with what you guys were talking about, I believe.
What about that one?
Let me see what it is.
Try that one.
Help.
That's about the importance of the sparging process.
Read it.
Okay.
All right.
Listener was once told to sparge a 5-gallon batch for 45 minutes to an hour, but he, as he gains more experience, he wants to get it done faster. He adds rice hulls and sparges as fast as he can. Is there any problems with that?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Right, Scott?
Yes.
Is
this going to take you guys long enough for me to go pee?
Yes.
Because I'm squirming in my seat over here.
We can do it.
Go for
it. Rice hulls aren't going to do anything. Rice hulls are generally used for mashes that you have a lot of wheat. in when you're doing
I use
lambics and stuff like that.
It helps to filter, and it does work pretty well. But I use them.
But what if he wants to not sparge as long, have him put more base malt in.
More base malt, that's what you can do.
It's the efficiency is what's going to hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're doing it a lot faster, you're just not going to get all the sugars out of there. And you're going to get the batch spargers fighting us on this one too. But if he doesn't mind having little less extraction rate and his main focus is getting done with the brew day faster, throw in another pound of grain.
Mm-hmm.
What's that, $1? Throw in another pound of grain, and that'll take up that differential in your efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
So just go ahead and sparge the hell out of it.
Yeah, it might take him a couple times to get used to it. You know, to figure that balance out.
And
1 pound of grain to 3 pounds of grain.
And it's about knowing your own system too, what it'll do.
Mm-hmm. But for your own standards, you would always say you got to take your time, and it's like 45 minutes to 1 hour. That's what you need.
I like to push it because
you like to push it too.
I don't like watching paint dry, so I do push it.
That's Scott's middle name. Pushing it.
Push it. But there's nothing wrong with doing it. You're not going to make a bad beer doing it. You're going to lose some efficiency on it, but you can make that up.
Mm-hmm.
And if your system might work out okay, it depends on your grain bed. If you're using a long got cooler, one of those square ones, there's a lot more grain bed on the bottom, a lot more filter bed on the bottom, so you can do it a lot faster.
Right.
If you're using the round cooler, you got a 9-inch pie pan thing on the bottom, and you're not going to be able to do it as fast.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a matter of leaving the sugars in the grain.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Good. He's back already. That was a quick pee.
We hit that conversation real well.
I think I ran out of there so fast I was still trickling down my leg.
That's just
and down the hall.
Yeah. That's all right.
It's a rental.
I washed my hands. Anyway.
You washed your hands?
Yeah, I did wash my hands. I left my pee trickling down my leg, but I washed my hands.
Well, that's the thing I said. Didn't your mama teach you to wash your hands after you pee? No, my mama taught me not to pee on my hands.
Right. I got an off-topic question here that came through earlier it's for Dr. Stoned.
Hey, I'm not a stoned tonight.
Listener is getting a lot of hop flavors, a lot like citrus peel, and way too much for his hops. He seems to remember that Doc said it could be the water missing something. Does a lack of calcium sound right?
Calcium mostly has to do with the pH in the mash. It doesn't have a lot to do with flavoring things. The sulfates in the water will give you more of the hop characteristics. So if you want to have more, if your sulfates are high and you're getting too much out of it, then what you're going to want to do, if you don't know what your water is, it's kind of tough to know.
Right.
If you do know what your water is, and it's probably very gypsumous water or high in sulfates, you're probably getting too much of this harshy, hoppy thing going on. Just cut your brew water about half with just distilled or RO water, and see if that makes a big difference. And that could be what you're probably talking about.
Gotcha.
It's hard to know. I don't know what your water is. If it's got a lot of groundwater, it's going to be a lot of gypsumous water, probably carbonate water. But that has to do with more flavor. The calcium really doesn't have to do so much with the flavor.
Okay.
But you can't just add calcium. You can't just add sulfate. You're going to have to add calcium sulfate, calcium chloride. So you can't just add one.
Unless you're me, and then you just throw stuff in there.
What the hell? Someone said to do it, so you did it.
Yeah, so I did it.
Yeah, right. Why should you do it? Because you can.
Because you can.
That's why I do everything now.
Why should I mess with my water?
Gotta stop hanging out with Doc. That's why I do everything. My boss asked me the other day, why did you ignore that customer? Because I can, man. What do you think?
You ready for another novel question here?
Yes.
I'm going to try to read it. This is how it was given to me, okay? All right, here's a listener, and he brewed a beer and split it into 3. 11 gallons of boiled wort, 5 gallons went into fermentation, 3 gallons each into a mini mash. The mini mash was a can of Cooper's, but he didn't boil the kit with the wort. The 2 past mash beers came out really bad. No head, bad hop flavors, but the full mash mother wort came out well. What can a listener do to improve his beer? Did you understand what I was talking about?
Throw the cans away first.
Not in the least.
Yeah, definitely. Though the one thing I would pick up is no cans, right?
Yeah, but other than that, I didn't really understand.
That's all what I have. so answer it now. You're the expert.
So he had 11 gallons of wort.
Right.
And he fermented 5, and then what?
11 gallons of boiled wort. 5 gallons went into fermentation. 3 gallons each into a mini mash.
Well, you wouldn't put.
You can't. It's not really a mini mash because
you can't put a mini mash in. You need water, plain water, not wort, to put into the mini mash into the grain.
So what it sounds like he did, he made 11 gallons of beer, fermented 5, decided to kick 3 up or 2 sets of 3 up with a kicker can of extract.
All right, 11 gallons of boiled wort, 5 gallons went into a fermentation. Then 3 gallons each into a fermentation. Yeah, that's what I read.
Well, I mean, it's nothing on you. I mean, it could be the listener maybe confusing the term mini mash because you can't mash. I mean, you can mash wort, but you're just putting back sugar into grain that already has, that needs.
Right. He says the mini mash was a can of Cooper's.
Yeah, that's not a mini. It sounds like he just split the batch 3 ways. And decided to add cans into it.
Right. And he said the bad part was the 2-part mash beers came out really bad. No head, bad hop flavors, everything.
That's the can.
If the can was hopped already, because a lot of those cans are pre-hopped, that could be it.
That's gross.
Yeah,
I've heard nothing good that comes out of it.
Really?
Yes.
But people are obviously using them, or the place wouldn't.
Well,
be
they've been around a long time.
Okay.
And when you couldn't get any other kind of ingredients or hops or whatever, the easiest thing to do is buy a can that's already made. It's like, here's your stuff. Okay. It's got hops in it. Boil it up.
Yeah.
Throw some extra sugar in it.
Yep.
Some yeast.
But now with the advent of the internet, especially lots of interest in home brewing, there's so much more ingredients that you have access to.
Yeah.
In the 70s and 80s. They didn't have that, so you could only get whatever your shop carried.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's what you had to
brew. And it still trickles down to a lot of these clone brew books and stuff.
Yeah.
They'll tell you 3.3 pounds of Cooper's. Dude, do you really think 0.3 pounds of extract is doing anything for you? Stuff like that. Dark malt extract. No, that's just extract that they make at the extraction place with dark malts added because way back when they can't get it, but there's still enough demand for it. People just don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wish I could go back and try to brew beer in the 70s.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. How old would you be? 2?
Yeah. If that. I turned you off, Daniela. Hang on. What do you got?
We have the listener now here on the phone
with
the question.
Oh, okay.
It's Jamil watching.
That's good. Hey, you're on the air.
G'day, how you going?
Ah, what do we got here? Little Oz action?
Little Oz. That was my question about the 3-way part mash.
Oh, all right.
I thought I'd try and explain it a bit.
Please,
better.
please
do.
Clarify.
You got me intrigued.
What I've done is I did a full mash with, I think it was 10 kilos of grain, whatever that works out into pounds. But anyway, that gave me 11 gallons of a 1045 wort.
Okay.
And what I've done is I've put 5 gallons of that into a fermenter by itself.
Okay.
And then I split the other 6 gallons between 2 fermenters with a can each of Cooper's basic kit beer, this hopped extract.
Okay.
Did you put more water in it too?
Yeah, a little bit of water. They all come up to the 5 gallon mark in the fermenters. Now the beer that was full, just the grain, the wort from the grain, that's come out very well. The other 2, one didn't ferment. I think there's a problem with the yeast. It stopped about 1020, but even there it tasted bad. The other one fermented all the way down, but tasted pretty bad too. There's body there. There's enough thickness in the body, but it's not holding its head. It's got a horrible sort of tang with the hops and all that sort of stuff. So.
You sure one of them might have been contaminated?
I think the first one could have been.
Well, I'm thinking more the second one, the one that you said did ferment all the way down. Because when you got a contamination, that will ferment too.
Yeah, I can't taste any sort of I'm looking when I'm trying to find a contamination, any sour flavours. There's no sourness in there.
Sometimes it doesn't get sour. Sometimes it's just dry. I've tasted a few beers that just come out. Why is this thing so dry? There's not much flavor there.
It's papery. There's a lot of
papery thing, but it doesn't have to be sour necessarily.
Are you near a shop at all? Are you local to any shops?
No.
All internet?
He's like in the Australian outback or something, this guy. He has to have...
The mail comes in a pouch of the kangaroo.
So I was going to say, his supplies come in the kangaroo's pouch. Sorry, Doc.
If it's a pouch, it'd be a female. Wouldn't it be a flyer? Ooh.
Oh.
Score it. Gotcha. 2 points. Patrick.
I know how to fix the one that the yeast failed.
Pitch more yeast.
How's that?
Squirt some Vegemite in there, man.
We got some right here.
It's not good for anything else.
I hesitate to say that it's the yeast that comes with the Cooper's kits, because you're right there. I mean, they're as local a local product as can be, because that's made in Australia right there. So I don't know if it was maybe that. I don't know. Without tasting it.
Yeah, the one that finished well, the full grain one, I used the US 56 dry yeast, and it's just a fantastic yeast.
That's a good,
well.
Yeah, that's a really good yeast.
You're right. The one that finished but tastes bad, that was Cooper's yeast.
Mm-hmm.
The one that didn't finish fermenting and stopped it at 1020, that was Sapphire.
Hey, Oz, hang on a second.
So you're using dry yeast?
Yeah. These ones.
I got to tell you before you guys go on, Oz, I can't turn up your volume. I'm being asked to turn up your volume, and I can't because it gets feedback. So just talk extra loud if you could.
It's because I'm like 300,000 kilometers away. You can't hear me.
But that's already better. Just get right up on the phone and talk loud, and it'll be cool.
No worries.
Cool.
Right. That's the accent.
So I've boiled. I've done part mash beers before where I've boiled the extract in, and it's come out fine.
Yeah.
This time I didn't. I'm not too sure if that's part of the reason, or like you say, there's an infection, or.
Are you supposed to be able to just put that extract right into the fermenter?
Yeah.
That's what they say, huh?
No boil?
The instructions on the kit says to add 3 litres of boiling water to the fermenter, dump the extract in, then top up with cold water.
That's weird.
That comes out bad.
Yeah, I bet. That's like Mr. Beer.
Well, I would think
that is Mr. Beer.
I mean, because you need to boil it, number one, for sanitization, but also to break proteins down and such, right?
Yeah.
Because they don't boil it for you, unless it could be pre-boiled. Like pre-cooked bacon. I'm sure it doesn't taste very good either, but people buy it and eat it.
Yeah.
Well, another offshoot on what you're talking about is people, they do an all grain, and they'll do batch sparging. They'll take the first couple of batches off the sparge and make their first beer with it, and then they'll do it one more time and get it pretty weak off of that, maybe a 1030, and then they'll boost it up with some extract, and that works out pretty good.
Yeah.
I've actually done that, not with the extract though, but I made a Belgian triple, and then put some more water into the mash tun, left it 4 hours. And it come out at 1045, so I was happy enough, and it was a good drinking beer.
There you go. As long as you can drink it.
Better than you can buy around there, right?
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I'm stumped. I have no idea.
You just stumped the non-brewer.
Yeah.
Do I get a t-shirt? I changed my nickname in the chat room so I can win some more swag, but they all busted off.
You want to say your nickname here, Oz?
Yeah, what is your name now?
No, I think Daniela should say it.
Oh, come on, you're a dick.
That's a hell of a nickname, man.
No, his nickname is actually Dick Insider.
Oh, man, that's a great name for a cider, too.
Hey Oz, do you know that your wife keeps telling me to shut you off because you're calling from her phone? You cracked the whole studio up. That's funny.
Insider. That's good, man. That's good.
Alrighty.
Thanks, Oz.
No worries. See you later.
Bye, Oz.
I hope that Oz comes in with a new name every week.
He does. Every single week.
That is good. Hey, if we got to think of show content each week, he can think of a name in the chat room each week, and that's funny. That's his best one yet.
That's quite an improvement, though, from Oz to Dick Cider.
Yeah. Man, I can't wait for the cider show. You're going to have to bring that one back for the cider show, Oz. We'll use that again. All right, we're going to be wrapping things up here very soon. Danielle, I'm wondering if you want to give out some of your, like a bottle of your beer.
What? Who would want that?
I just think it'd be fun.
Are you trying to humiliate me?
No, it'll be fun.
Although I have great ideas for labeling the beer and everything, I have like nice pictures of myself in like cool outfits, so I'm going to do that. So if anybody wants it.
We're going to get more calls than we've ever gotten.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say.
We'll get John over here with the counter fill, bottle filler. We'll do it right. And, I don't know, send out a couple bottles of it. Why not? We got nothing else to give away this week. So.
Christmas gifts.
Are you alright with that?
I'm fine.
Okay.
It'll still be better than Oz's that second and third brew.
Yeah.
And Dr. Scott, what am I drinking here? That's crazy.
Yeah, that's a Belgian strong dark ale.
That is so strong and dark. That's amazing. Really.
You like them like that?
Yeah, I like it.
Strong and dark.
Oh, Justin's feeling threatened by the strong and dark comments.
By the strong, dark Belgians.
I like being carried away by dark, strong things.
I want to take a caller, I think, to give the beer away of a Daniela fan. I thought would be fun.
Which one?
But I guess I know.
John doesn't have a phone.
You got another caller there? Okay, let's see how we go. You're on the air?
Hi, Justin.
Yeah.
You read my feedback earlier. That was not a slam on you. I just wanted to start out by saying that.
Oh, wait, who are we talking to? Give me the name.
My name is Phil. P. Vignola is the forum and chat room handle.
Was it the feedback that said everyone else was awesome?
Right. It was just assumed that you were awesome. I just wanted to clear that up right away.
Justin, I didn't know your dad listened to the show. That's awesome.
Actually, he does. And he's called in before.
No, that's cool, Phil. I was making a joke. You sent a great email, so. All right, what else you got? What's happening?
Just wanted to say hi from New Hampshire.
Cool.
You know that there are brewers on the East Coast, and I hear you guys from the left coast slamming us all the time. So I wanted to call in and represent.
Are you in?
It's your water, man.
Are you in Brew Free or Die out there?
I am not actually. I'm thinking about joining.
You should, yeah.
I actually saw this. Lufa on the chat, the forum posted a website where you go there and it's a big map of the world, and you can post where you're from as a home brewer. And the East Coast,
I'm on there.
The East Coast is much more full of home brewers than we are out here. I'll tell you that right now. I mean, by huge numbers.
49% or so as of a couple years ago of our customer base was East Coast. That's just East, not Midwest, West.
Right, just east of the Mississippi.
Huge. There's a huge home brewing community out there.
Yeah, you guys have the microbrews out there. We don't have as many here, but we have more home brewers, and maybe that's why.
Yeah, I think so. I think that, and it's actually weird. You would have thought it'd be the opposite or something, that we'd get more home brewers because of that. But you're right. We have the tons of microbrews out here, but they got the tons of home brewers out there.
Because they have to.
Exactly. It's a necessity. I guess that's it.
It's like Oz. Oz says all the beer over there is just crap. So.
He's got to brew to drink good stuff.
Brew to survive.
That's cool.
And this is the live free or die state, guys. So if you're ever... Probably the best state in the nation.
The live free or die state.
If you can think of anything you want to do, you can probably do it here in New Hampshire.
Can let me tell you what sucks about California, the quote-unquote liberal state.
Yeah, don't get me started.
You know what drives me nuts is that you can't walk on the street with a beer in your hand. And hey, call me a simple man, but I just want
you a simpleton.
I just want to leave one bar with a beer and enter the next one with the same beer.
Absolutely right.
You know what I mean?
They're, stealing their glass away from that.
I'll take a bottle. It's fine. Can you do that?
Learn how to conceal it better. That's all.
Yeah, can you do that in New Hampshire? Are you allowed to walk on the street?
I've never tested that. I'm not sure actually.
See, because this is why, to me. Aside from many of the places in Europe, which are actually much more free than we are here, Las Vegas is a little bit of heaven on earth.
It is. It's my favorite town here, city here.
Yeah, because not only can you walk down the street with a beer in your
Like
hand,
the sin.
you can have a hooker in your other hand. It's totally fine.
That's why the beer's always in your right hand. Hooker in the left.
That's right. So that's very good. I like the motto, the live free or die state.
They have a great homebrew club, Brew Free or Die.
Is that?
Yeah, Brew Free or Die. That's great. It's just a great name for a brew club.
Yeah, I want that bumper
that
sticker.
Live Free or Die is right there on our license plate too. So when you come into our state, there's no doubts about it.
Right. That and the gun rack in the back of everybody's window.
That's what I mean about the or die part.
Yeah, that just drips. Hey, easy.
Yeah,
I'm from New Hampshire.
That's right. Don't
cool.
Do they call them bubbles?
Don't get me going.
Trying to remember.
If you cannot live in free, you're going to die for it.
I think I've been to New Hampshire. Yeah, I've been to New Hampshire.
Was one of those states you can't go back to?
No,
come on now.
I'm trying to remember.
I didn't say won't go back to. I said can't.
Yeah. I'm trying to remember what I was there for. Did I ski there? Is there skiing in New Hampshire?
Yes, you ski
there. Skiing, yeah.
I think I skied there.
It's Mount New Hampshire.
The guy drove up from Connecticut to go skiing there or something.
Because it's
That's
better
a beautiful
there?
State.
Yeah.
I encourage everybody to come visit.
Yeah? Low population, right? I like that.
It's because they all died.
Less people is good.
They couldn't live.
We're 45 minutes from Boston too, so.
Oh, see, that's not bad at all, right there. You got a little city right next to you. It's one thing I love the Bay Area, the San Francisco Bay Area, I should say. I just don't like all the people. I'd love it a lot more if everyone left.
The people like you, though.
Yeah.
You could call it Justinville or something.
That would be great. That's a perfect name, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, because no one wanted to live there. The population would be real low.
Hey, congrats on the possible job in broadcasting. I've had my stint in broadcasting, and
oh, cool.
It's a tough business. If that's what you want to do, God bless you, because it's tough.
Yeah, I agree.
Now I'm in computers, so.
Yeah, well, I've been graduated for going on 2 years now.
Graduated, yeah.
And I'm still a waiter.
You'll make it, Justin. You'll make it.
Waiter?
I started out mowing lawns. I started out mowing the lawn at this radio station. Ended up being, they had an AM and an FM. I did board hopping there. I did remote broadcast engineering and ended up on the air FM too. So.
Okay. That's my
you gotta
goal.
Pay your dues, man.
That's right. And I have no problem with that. I'll pay my dues. This is my first offer to foot in the door even to start paying my dues. My plan though really, it's a part-time job. So, ideal situation, it makes me a little bit of cash doing that, and the rest of the time I spend on the Brewing Network. So that's what we're looking for.
There you go.
That's what we're looking for.
We all win.
That's right. Hey, cool,
well, guys,
Phil.
I just wanted to call in and let you know you're doing a great job and to keep up the good work. And this is my first live show. I've listened to the archives, but
oh, nice!
Wow, cool.
Well, we appreciate the phone call.
I'm usually sleeping by now.
Oh, get some other people to listen to us too. It always helps.
I'll do all I can.
If I had a shirt, Phil, I'd send it to you, but I don't.
You can have my beer, though.
Okay.
You want Daniela's beer?
Take Daniela's shirt.
Sure.
All right, we'll send
right now.
You gotta send me an email, though. My email address is Daniela@thebrewingnetwork.com, and Daniela is spelled with one L only.
Yeah, I misspelled it. I misspelled it a lot.
There you go. Send her an email with your address. You'll get a beer.
I'll do that.
Awesome.
Thanks for calling,
Go
Phil.
check that club out, Phil.
Thanks, guys. Do a great job, and we'll be listening again for sure.
All right, cool. We'll see you, buddy.
Thanks.
New Hampshire. I like our East Coasters. They're cool, man.
There's a lot of good homebrew out there.
Yeah?
Yeah, there really is.
I've not had any of it, so I don't know.
Good. Well, you didn't go to the Nationals, man.
I
You're
know.
a loser.
I am a loser. Next year. Daniela and I spoke
He's not
about
a
that.
loser. He's a douchebag.
By the way, I told you that all the flutter is going to go to the end of the show, so tune out now if you're bored.
Listener drop.
Now's when the fluff starts.
Well, I was just saying, Danielle and I were talking, if, I already don't like my job too much anyway. It doesn't pay a ton of the bills, all that sort of stuff. And if it's keeping me back from going to those things that are important, like the GABF.
It's holding you back, man.
I wanted to go to this Firestone thing. If it starts to do that, then it's even worse. Then it's bad news, right? And it is at this point where it is like I can't get the days off that I need. And it is more important to me for the Brewing Network to go to these festivals and promote and talk to people and meet than it is to, serve somebody soup and salad.
Oh,
like the NorCal thing. You were like stringing me along whether you're going to go or
I
not.
could get off.
I was toying with the idea of going and getting you fired. You're gone.
Well, I
can do that.
I don't want to sit here and complain about all that. I just, it's a good point that if I did want to go to GABF, I would have tasted some good beer.
And bad beer, too.
And bad beer, I'm sure. And I'm bummed that things hold me back from that. So next year, is
the man's holding you down.
Next year is the year of the Brewing Network. That's what I think. This year, I touted, my New Year's resolution this year was that this year was the year of work.
That's what we said, the year of work.
Next year is going to be the year of the Brewing Network.
No, we said something different.
Yeah, well, I'm changing it.
What?
Don't make me turn off your microphone again.
Well, we said that was a year of growth that can still apply to
Yeah, that's growth. It's the growth of the Brewing Network.
Yeah, that's good.
What about that scary meeting we had with the Brewing Network thing?
Hey, that was the least of it. Wait till the next one.
Man,
I think that one was
didn't like that meeting. We're having a meeting. Oh.
Yeah, at the end of the last show, I'm like, all right, I got to talk to you guys. It's like a meeting.
Oh.
And then all of a sudden, it was no longer like fun hobby for Doc. His face is like, it's like he was back in med school again.
I was like, oh yeah, we got to bring this up. You guys are slacking.
Yeah,
we got to make this work. Blah 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 blah. I was like,
yeah.
What am I here for?
I got another meeting for you. Not tonight. I'll let you know. I got more meetings coming up. No, I'm telling you, I can't reveal it now. I'm bursting at the seams about some of it, but we have good things planned come January, not 1st, because that's holiday.
And when are you going to tell me about it?
You will know at the next meeting.
Did you just say you have never had good homebrew from the East Coast? Did you say anything like that?
I think I said I had never had East Coast homebrew.
There's some angry people in there.
Well, I didn't say never good homebrew.
He said he's never had it.
You've never had it.
I never had any homebrew. But that's probably not, we had listener homebrew from the East Coast, didn't we?
Probably so.
Well,
Christians, for one.
Well, that's the third coast.
He's the one who is furious right now.
Yeah, I didn't say I never had good homebrew, Crotch. I didn't mean that. I meant to say I never had any good homebrew, any homebrew at all from the East Coast, which was also false, because now I'm remembering I had yours.
There you go.
We've had loofahs, but I don't know if he's on the East Coast. I think he's Middle America.
I don't know.
I think he's Iowa or something.
If he stood on his house, he still couldn't see the ocean.
Do we have any other East Coast homebrew? Crotch, your homebrew was great. I didn't mean that at all.
I took it as you just didn't have any homebrew from the East.
That's what I had thought.
That's what
which is also false. I have
look,
had
we've
homebrew.
had Vegemite, but we haven't had homebrew from the East.
Yeah. My bad, Crotch.
It's your bad.
Your bad crotch?
Your bad crotch.
My bad crotch.
No, that's a bad crotch.
But I'm glad to hear you're alive and not swept away by a hurricane there, Crotch.
Well, no, it's not supposed to hit him till a little later.
I think they said early Monday morning, which is coming up quick on the East Coast at this point.
Well, yeah, after New Orleans, everyone's all the mayors and whatnot are freaking out.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone away.
Hurricanes are they're the new black. They're the latest rage.
Yes.
Every time there's a hurricane on the horizon, man, it's all over the news.
There's a new one brewing. In fact, they ran out of names. Wilma was it. So
yeah, Wilma.
Now they're on like Storm Alpha.
Bastard.
Got some names for him. They all have to. Daniela's angry that all hurricanes have to be named after females.
Absolutely,
no, they alternate.
I think that's incorrect. Well, they alternate now, but that's only like a couple of years ago.
Yeah, it used to be
and I'm still upset.
No, what do you want?
I don't want them to have names at all.
I'm super mad that we didn't get the vote for how many years. I mean, come on. Well, what do you want? We made a mistake.
Just shut up. Turn him off, Justin.
I'm
super mad they have names at all, because imagine your wife or your kid or so is called Katrina or Rita or whatever. Isn't that just terrible? I think that doesn't make any sense, and I think we got to change that.
Well, it makes sense if that person
Katrina kills a lot of people.
Are we going to make up? How would you name?
She's only 4.
Would you make it up? Like
no, you would just say the hurricane that hit Florida
Alpha
on whenever,
3.
or you would say the hurricane that hit whatever whenever. They don't have to have names.
Well, they're alphabetical names,
humans.
so we can actually count how many there've been.
Well, we could still count, Dr. Scott. We don't need names to count.
My take is that they should remain female names because hurricanes are raging bitches.
Oh, man, you took the words out of my mouth.
Oh, my gosh.
Which is the same
thing. And the reign of terror is over a wide.
You guys just don't know. You stupid.
Same thing I told you when you started complaining about it.
Talk beer, not hormones.
All right, so we gave away one of your beers.
Yeah, that's enough.
I would like to hear. I'd like to hear from a fan of Daniela's, maybe one who hasn't called before. That would be nice. Who maybe she helps in the chat room all the time. 888-401-BEER.
Stump.
If you want to call up and
Stump JP,
and we'll give away a third one
to Jamil because he said he wanted one.
He'll give him one
I think he said he wanted you.
No, he said he wanted a beer.
Do I see a Daniela calendar in like 4 years?
4 months.
Oh, wait. Back to some of the new exciting stuff for the January.
Daniela calendar.
The Daniela calendar.
Oh, definitely. We're definitely going to have a calendar.
Log on for a small membership fee. You get a new picture every week.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you guys think? The chat room has voted on who brought it the weakest tonight. What do you think, you guys?
They've already voted, huh?
Well, maybe not like officially voted, but they mentioned it.
I think Doc brought it the weakest. That's my vote.
Nope.
Probably me.
Try to push it on to me.
I have to, because I know where this is going. Go ahead, Daniela.
JP.
Yep. What? Petro's speaking out?
Actually, it was just Jamil who said that.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Oh, wait, we have to give him credit because he's just filling in for John.
He's so
he's
great.
supposed to come
On
in weak.
short notice as
He's
well.
awesome.
No, but he's filling in for John.
Well, and
John.
supposed to, yeah.
He's supposed to come in weak.
I just
Good
came
point.
back from a beer fest. Give me some credit.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
How was it anyway?
It was good. You know what? Can I tell you about it real quick?
Yeah. Firestone Walker.
Firestone Walker is our first Oktoberfest, and $22.50 to get in. You get a half-liter Stein.
They make you pay?
No. And you get a half-liter Stein, ceramic Stein, nice-looking thing with a logo and everything, T-shirt, and a ticket for a beer, and you pay like, I don't know, $3 for 4 tickets for beer. Everything goes to charity.
Nice.
To the hospice there.
Yeah.
And, I mean, they give you they fill you up a half-liter. And there was no beer that was under 5% there.
That's
And it was
great.
just, they had a great reggae band. They had, it was killer. It was a great time.
Wow.
It was a lot of fun.
That, I was supposed to be there with you, JP.
Yeah.
That's too
Well,
bad.
you
That
should've.
sounds good, man.
So are you a little hungover?
I'm just slow.
I'm a little hung.
You're always
Yeah.
slow.
You are a little hung.
I'm a little hung.
That's the rumor.
What'd you do last night?
I went to the Fillmore with my wife. My brother flew up, and
Okay.
we saw Dark Star Orchestra play.
That sounds really great.
Very nice.
And I got just ripped. We went to dinner in North Beach and had a nice Italian family style dinner.
Uh-huh.
Pretty much got ripped right at dinner.
So check this out. So I met Dr. Scott's wife when they came into the ale house the other day, and
Really? Oh.
I said, I go, look, come on, it's right around the corner. We had dinner for my birthday, and we walked around the corner. I go, look, Jason's here. I saw your motorcycle outside. I go, he's got to be here.
Cool. So I got a couple things to say about it. Danielle's got to answer the phone. She's going to miss out of this segment here. I was surprised, Doc. And this is nothing bad to say about your wife, just you. First of all, very attractive woman, Doc.
She's a hot chick, man.
She is a very attractive and healthy-looking woman.
You look at Gollum over here, and you're like, you know, what the hell's wrong?
And I'm going, man,
she's
so precious.
I could just see her in the hallway of, like, they met in college.
Yeah.
He's going to enable me to live in the woods by myself one day.
Yeah. By the way, I love this new format. I don't feel guilty at all about rambling on right now because you're welcome to go to bed if you don't want to. So that was the first pleasant surprise. It's just a very attractive woman, Doc's wife. And,
That is a surprise.
And then the other part.
Thanks a lot. She's a precious.
The other part is that she just was really nice and genuinely nice and cool. And not that Doc says otherwise. That's not what I mean. I just would have thought she'd be angry sort of with me about taking you from the fam so often and things like that.
I didn't tell her who you were at first.
Right.
No, I did. I told her who you were.
But she was cool, and I just wanted to hang out with her more.
Oh, and you know what? She's beautiful, but she's smarter than me, too.
Is she?
Yes.
I believe that. I think that you're really smart with beer.
That's the case in so many relationships, dog.
Yeah.
It's a good thing.
Not this one, though. By the way.
And we did hit her up with she's going to have to call in for one of the shows.
I tried to get her to call in. I said I just would like to talk to her on the air because I feel that it would give her a venue to vent about you and about your missing in action each Sunday.
She probably would.
And I would like that.
So we'll have to call her.
The trials.
We might have to call her, exactly.
Yeah.
Hope that she's not running ragged at that point.
The trials of a beer wife.
Who do we got?
Maybe next week. Maybe next week we'll set it up for a certain time.
Okay. Yeah, try to do it.
I don't know. I don't know what would happen.
That's actually why I want her to call in.
We had the first caller that was Jamil, and he said that he wanted my beer, and he's going to get it. Jamil is so nice.
Is that who's on the phone?
No,
here?
he's something
else.
Somebody
else. Somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
You're on the air.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, what's happening? Who are we talking to?
Hey, this is Joe again.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, I don't know, just hanging around with my little pits here and seeing what's going on.
Hey, Joe, did you do a posting earlier today that you started brewing and drinking at 8 a.m.? Was that you?
8:30, yeah.
That was great. And was it your first brew?
Yeah.
That's right. Okay. So here's the story on Joe.
Wow.
Been listening to the show and gaining, whatever knowledge we happen to be giving out. But had never brewed and just was sort of storing up the stuff and getting ready. And then today was your first go. You were hoping that it didn't rain.
Yes, that was true.
And so he got to brew today, and I had forgotten. I read the post a couple days ago that you were hoping to brew today. And so I go and I read his post just before the show. I just happened to be looking through the forum for questions about Mini Mash, and I read his post real quick. And first thing it says is like, I thought I had printed it out because I wanted to read it to you guys. But it was basically, I'm brewing. This is happening. And oh yes, by the way, I began drinking at 8:30 a.m. The beer I'm brewing looks a lot like the beer I'm drinking. You're brewing an IPA, right?
I tried to brew an IPA, yeah, but it looked like an oatmeal stout that I was drinking.
And his question, if I remember right, was during the brew process and the fermentation and all that, will his beer lighten up at all?
Yes.
Will the color change?
Yes.
Doc says yes. Jason's shaking his head no.
It will.
Yes,
it will.
Yeah? Would you say the opposite, Jason?
No, he won't go from a stout to a pale ale. Okay. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, what are you talking about?
But it will lighten the color a bit?
Yeah. When you put it in the fermenter, it always looks darker.
Mm-hmm.
And as it ferments, it does get lighter. And we're talking like 5 SRM probably.
I thought you meant from
1068.
From your boiling.
Ooh, 1068. No, he was talking about, when he was describing his beer, it was in the kettle still. Just his steeping grains, he said, had really darkened the beer. Is that right, Joe?
Okay. You're not going to. There's a dark crystal in there for an IPA, and I didn't know if that seemed right. But
no, IPA should be paler than a pale ale. An IPA should be paler than Sierra Nevada.
Because I had a Caramaniac one and a dark crystal and.
Well, what's the
normal Munich?
Good movie, but you shouldn't brew with it.
I love the dark crystal.
Skeksy's friend of Gilligan. If you're doing an IPA,
I know what you're talking about, so it's kind of sad.
Yeah, that's what I think too for me.
Crystal 15, I wouldn't go any higher level than 15.
I think it was
for a pale ale or an IPA. Yeah, I wouldn't either. If you're good at Crystal 60, yeah.
I was calling the recipe out of Beer Captured, so
Joe, don't listen to these idiots.
No, you listen to us. That's all you can listen to.
Your beer's fine.
Beer Captured Schmear Schmasher.
It's still going to be a good beer, but it might not be what you want to have. And it will lighten up, but you're not going to go from a 25 SRM to a 9. It's not going to happen.
If you want to do your own...
It was like 90 when I started. So.
Yeah, well, it's going to stay dark.
What, this was a recipe you pulled out, or was it written down, or did you make it up, or...
It was in a book, Beers Captured by... I don't know, those two people in Connecticut. I can't remember their names.
Oh,
Mark and Tess.
I like that book, though.
I would get Designing Great Beers and leave everything else alone, to be completely honest with you.
Ray Daniels?
Yeah.
But I like the not beers, what is it, the clone brews. I like those, because it gives you...
First book,
I was looking at that today.
Well, there's that one, and there's Northern California Home.
I've heard a lot of mixed things with recipes.
If you know what you're doing as far as recipe formulation, it gives you a good starting point.
Okay.
And you can deal with their recipes and tweak them to what you have for locally, because you can't always get what they have. And
if you shouldn't do that.
What?
So if you're me, you shouldn't do that.
Yeah, no, not if this is your first beer, no.
Okay.
I would just stick with their book and do the recipe thing, and that's probably your best bet for a while. And after a while, you'll know, well, I didn't like that because it's too dark, and you won't put Crystal 60 in there again.
Hey, what kind of hops did you use in that there IPA you got?
A lot of Galena.
Centennial. Oh, are you talking to me?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Centennial?
He's been talking to me.
Yeah, Centennial, Cascade, and East Kent Goldings.
Okay. Your Goldings were in the end? Your aroma?
I put everything at the end because I decided I just wanted to try what you guys were saying, but I probably should just start with the basics.
Okay.
He's like Oz. He likes to put everything in the end.
10, though.
It's a good one, Doc.
Definitely, if it's your first beer, follow a recipe.
Yeah.
Don't put everything in 10, huh?
I actually like...
I've never done it, but I'm just saying, like, as far as teaching people how to brew, I just tell them to do what the recipe says because you know how it's pretty much going to come out.
F you, Jason. We've been teaching this guy for months on this show, and I appreciate your ambition, Joe, and you're just like, screw it.
And what happened? He came in oatmeal stout. Good job, Justin. Way to teach the guy.
Hey, shut up.
Getting a bottle either way, so.
Don't believe everything you read. I think that's what the key.
Yeah, believe everything we say instead.
Do what we say, not what we do.
All your beer belong to us.
Or I think what your main thing is to do right now is to get that beer finished and mail it to us.
What's your fermentation temperature now? What are you doing to control that?
I have a Ranco temperature controller, and I have I don't know how many, like 20 cubic foot freezer, so.
Oh, all right. You're better than Justin right there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why I appreciate his ambition. He's like, I've never brewed before, but he waits and then gets all the stuff that he knows he wants to brew, and he's already got temperature control.
Hey, Justin's a slave to the weatherman.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was
I think I don't have 65. It doesn't change. So.
There you go. 65.
65.
Cal Ale yeast? Or do you use a smack pack?
Yeah. WLPs are their one. Yeah.
Okay. 65.
So.
65 is... Well, if you put it at 65, it's going to ferment
slow.
Well, yeah, but it'll boost its temperature internally because of the ferment. So it might push it up a little bit for you, which is.
I have a probe against my fermenter, so I don't know if that helps.
I gotta go put my probe against my fermenter and see where it's at.
I probe it all the time.
Joe, you don't sound too much like you've been drinking since 8:30 a.m.
I don't know. I'm more like 0.2 or something now. I don't know. I'm losing count. But.
Nice.
I'm drinking the Sam Adams Boston Lager you guys suggested. So.
Okay.
What'd you think?
I ran out of my oatmeal stout. So.
Gotcha. The Samuel Smith's oatmeal stout you started and finishing with the Samuel Adams.
Hey, Sammy to the next.
Samuel Wisconsin.
That's right. All right, cool, Joe.
Your time here.
Daniela, do you want to send Joe a beer? Or?
We talked about that already, yes.
Oh.
What else were we talking about?
All right, Joe, you get a beer. You get Daniela's
But I need your email
brew.
or your address, Joe, so please send me an email at Daniela@thebrewingnetwork.com.
There you go.
Okay, I will do that.
All right, cool. Hey, thanks for the call, Joe. Keep brewing and keep posting, because I like...
Can I ask you something real quick, Justin?
Yeah, go for it.
Do I still get like a date with Daniela, or is that off the cards?
Why would you ask Justin? Hello, I'm right here.
You'll get the beer bottle with their picture on it. That's about the only date you're going to get.
Why would you answer for me, Dr. Scott?
Didn't hear what you guys were saying.
It could be a positive.
Excuse me, the question was directed to me.
Well, but why?
Yeah, I wanted Justin's.
Well, Joe, how much were you planning on donating to the Brewing Network? Is I think a fair response.
I give you guys a lot of money.
Yeah, I know.
I put like millions.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Hey, that's cool. Thanks a lot for all your help, and keep calling us, Joe.
That'd probably be the fastest way for us to...
Go ahead, Doc.
That'd be the fastest way for us to get monetary compensation or to boost the whole thing.
To sell Daniela?
Exactly.
Exactly.
The thought has never crossed my mind, and I'm disgusted that you would even think of something like
that.
It's
an auction, and it's for a good cause.
You're right. Cool, Joe. We'll talk to you soon.
It's just a date.
All right, later, guys.
Right.
Bye-bye.
See you, Joe.
Tell you what, you can go over to their house and brew some beer with them.
Oh, absolutely.
Check his probe.
When I was thinking...
Hold his probe close to your fermenter.
I was thinking that the
not
Brewing
in the
Network,
fermenter, because that would be kind of weird, but on the fermenter.
The Brewing Network get into like bikini brew demonstrations, right?
I don't have my bikini figure anymore.
Yeah, that's good, because I was not going to put you anywhere near a bikini.
You can put me near one, just not in one.
Yeah. I think we'd draw a big crowd at the tent if we had bikini brewing.
So you would pitch a tent. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, pretty much. And then draw a crowd, hopefully. All right, do you know where your beer's going? You got all the...
He told me he would send me an email.
Okay. So all emails have to go to Daniela. I think there's only, 3?
Yeah, around 3.
I bet you get 6 emails. I won your beer.
We have to take a picture.
Well, I'm always happy to receive emails, so I'm happy to give out my beer.
We have to make a label, though.
I have a label already.
Absolutely. Got to label that. So this beer's going to take a couple weeks, but we got to bottle it soon because this beer's lucky to last next week.
You bottle.
John will bottle.
John will bottle.
Do you have a counterflow? If John happens to be away for the week, which is possible with his family,
MIA for next week,
we might have to hit you up, Doc. And
just remind me. Send me an email.
Okay.
Earlier.
Cool.
Than calling me when I get the message on the way here.
Yeah. I looked for your house number, couldn't get it. All right.
No.
So, hey, I don't mind if you send me a little feedback about the new show format. We're going to try to get right into the business in the beginning, all beer stuff.
Get the meat.
It's still going to be entertaining, like I said. And then going to do all this kind of rambling on at the end instead of at the beginning. So, give me your feedback about that because it's your show, not just ours. So I would appreciate, you can post it in the forum if you want, create a new thread, that's fine. You can also just put it in the feedback box. You could send it to me too. But feedback at the Brewing Network or Justin at the Brewing Network. I'd like to know because we want to really accommodate you guys for this show as best we can. I know that on the East Coast it's always getting to be 11:30 at night by the time we're getting out of here. So, we're just trying to help out with all the time zones and all that. Oz in Australia has got nothing to do for the rest of the day.
So pretty much the rest of the day's ruined.
Yeah. So anyway, there you go. Give us some feedback about that. Next week, I think we're looking at Moonlight, who was supposed to be in last month, and we just had a scheduling conflict. I think John's got them scheduled to come in next Sunday. So Moonlight Brewing Company. Doc, you're here, right?
Yep.
All right. Petros, you're not invited.
No, I'd rather not be invited.
But I bring in a week.
Can't say thank you enough. I appreciate you coming in on short notice.
Hey, man, anytime. I'm here for you, buddy.
Always like having you in here. And next time, bring some meat.
I will. I'll bring my meat, and I'll bring it harder next time too.
Appreciate that.
Can we get out of here?
Hold it next to the fermenter.
It's like we give Daniela a microphone, and we feel this responsibility to bring the man on the other side or something because she talks more. We feel like we have to man it up over here.
Well, we used to have to decide when we're gonna swing that microphone over to her. And now she's got it. She just works it.
Yeah. Subconsciously the testosterone just starts working.
Hey, what are we doing next week again? Did you say that already?
Yeah, you did.
Just about 2 minutes ago. 2 seconds ago, really.
Yeah.
Sorry for not listening to you, never.
That ADD thing.
Just that Moonlight's coming in and,
we think.
Now you and John, Doc, per our meeting, are supposed to be getting together on future show topics so that they're planned well ahead. I assume that's not happened yet as far as what next week's show topic is.
You're right!
That's cool. I'll try to figure it out in the next 2 days, and I'll also post no later than Wednesday. You have my...
Yeah, that was my issue.
What am I going to say? I don't want to give my word in case something comes up.
No, that was my issue to what are we doing? And let everybody know what we're doing as soon as we know what we're doing.
You have my sincerest efforts that by Wednesday you will know what commercial beer we're tasting next week.
On the website.
And what our topic is. All right? That's the best I can do. That's what I got for you.
Good night, guys. A pleasure, like always.
All right. Thanks for manning the microphone, and get comfortable because you're gonna have your own next week, just like that. All right.
Wow.
All right, sir.
Okay.
You're permanent now.
Thanks again, Jason Petros from Jason Petrosville.
Anytime.
He also works at B3, so if you want to call and harass him there, feel free to do so.
Please do.
And he's having a meat party in a couple weeks.
Big meat.
Meat fest.
I think we're going to that. Might even invite my old roommate Schumann there, and he
Schumann likes meat.
He likes a good meat party.
I can't wait for me to put my meat in all of your mouths.
How about that cider?
Are you going to have a healthy portion of Guy's nuts at the meat party?
A bag of Guy's nuts. I'll bet it's on his chin.
Sweaty balls.
See, I like how if we'd save it to the end, I'm even allowed to do all the inside jokes from just the people who are participate in the forum, because they tend to hang out in the chat longest and they know what we're talking about. And I don't have to explain the whole Guy's nuts thing. I could just say, if you want to know, because it is funny, go to the forum. But because at the beginning of the show, I do feel guilty. I like this.
With the Guy's nuts, yeah.
I feel guilty about Guy's nuts. I'm talking about Guy's nuts.
But does Guy feel guilty about his nuts?
I don't think he does. Oh, man. Participate in the forum. It's a lot of fun, and you'll meet a lot of new brewers there. And I'll be back next Sunday morning with the Blues Show. Next week, Moonlight Brewing Company, I think. I'll let you know by Wednesday. Thanks, everybody. Another good week of radio.
And remember, Dr. Scott has his own email.
Don't send it till Tuesday, because I'll create it tomorrow. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, it'll take me a second.
Then he'll actually shoot me an email to see how I can get into it.
And I'll tell you how you can get in there. That's right. All right, folks. Pale Ale's a friend of mine. We'll see you next week.
Pale Ale is a friend of mine, and I sure like good barley wine. Chocolate porter, cherry stout, don't you know what I am talking about? Don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love it? Homebrew, can't get enough of it. Homebrew, it blows my mind. I love homebrew all the time. Yeah, I think I have me, well, I have the one right now. They should know how to get down. Double and triple on my best friend. I think I'll have them all over again. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love that homebrew? Can't get enough of it. Homebrew, it blows my mind. I love homebrew all the time. Yeah, I think I'll have me, well, I'll have me one right now. Of a day, a bark will do me when the skies are gray. I'll take a Belgian brew anytime, and the women think the lambic fine. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love it, that homebrew? Can't get enough of it. Homebrew, it blows my mind. I love homebrew all the time. Yeah, I think I'll have me, well, I'm the one right now. Cherry stout, yeah, you know what I am talking about. But don't you give me that American crude, boys, I want a real homebrew. Homebrew, don't you really love that homebrew? Can't get enough of it. Homebrew, it blows my mind. I love homebrew all the time.